go ahead and quick recap of where we were last week. What was going on? Anyone remember?
I want to.
Trash man's on the toilet
Yeah, that happened.
searching for pay data. Apparently, the infiltrator is on his way up to the 97th floor, but haven't heard from him in a while.
Right. He was basically just getting ready to breach the elevator, but he had set off some alarm. You also had both decided we had forgotten to do buy-in on the mission stakes, and you both had gone with 3, and that 3 would have raised the action clock by 1, and then the legwork clock by 1. Correct?
I guess so. I don't know.
Okay. Yes. So yeah, by choosing 3, that's what would have happened. So I need to make sure I remember to do that. This is the wrong window. Good. Okay. The action clock needs to go up to, let's see, we add 1 to action, we add 1 to legwork. Now, so basically you got a mission from EDC. They've been funding your group through the White Tigers, which is the hacker group that Trashman was involved with, and that Whisper actually works with EDC. EDC had commissioned the White Tigers for some previous jobs, and then was following up with this one. This one was simply, what was your job, Trashman?
Go to the 97th floor and upload some sort of data.
Right. So you basically just have a payload that you were provided, and your job is to get up there somehow and drop this onto that system. And going through, you realize that system was hard, like it was not actually physically connected to the rest of the network. So what you need to get physically close. You tried to infiltrate through less direct means, but you already knew ahead of time that there was not really going to be a way in there. Although as you were doing some recon, you had also gotten into their public system and through that into some of the building systems. Specifically, I think you went to their hardware division's servers. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to the hardware division servers, and you had currently you just gotten into what looked like an R&D lab system, and you were planning on searching through that. At about that point, you had communicated with Whisper and found that he was at the elevator planning on going up, and he was asking you for help getting into that system.
Right. So I was just about to do my sift and then like actually start hacking for the mission.
Right. So I feel like I'm forgetting one thing. Let's see. You're sifting for hardware and R&D lab. He's infiltrating through the elevator, and then we need to figure out how to get Riser and Mailing both here. Actually, to start out, yeah, we can wait. We can wait a little bit until she's involved, but well, actually, if you want to go ahead, Mei Ling, and describe, even though you aren't involved yet, if you want to describe yourself briefly, just so that everyone kind of knows what's coming.
Sure. So, Mei Ling is a sort of a trained assassin, courtesan, pretty just a stealthy and stylish person who is pretty deadly, and she is sort of wanting to get away from the life of being a corporate assassin, but she doesn't know how to do that yet, and so she's still sort of stuck in that world for now. And she's been working for the 10K1, which is the corporation that I created. They are a outgrowth of organized crime, starting from the Japanese Yakuza, but growing in all sorts of different directions from there. Their specialty is human resources. They both smuggle people and do things like, organizing prostitution and headhunting, and they have mercenaries. But anyway, she was raised as an orphan by one of their special units and has been working for them for basically all of her life. But she's been beginning to pull away in like the last year or so. She's like said, hey, I don't want to take missions where I'm just seducing somebody to assassinate them. Make the missions mean something. And so she's still working for them, but not nearly as closely as she has in the past. And she's been getting independent jobs as well.
Okay. And the 10,001, I've added that. I think to throw in some links, probably since you and Riser are coming in at pretty much the same time. I can't remember what his mission was, but probably you needed to have a mission that in some way ties into him, and that'll be
We
up to
never
you.
did a link for Riser.
Oh,
It
right.
was only me and Whisper that did that.
Yeah, because it was the beginning of the first session. Okay, so then that's something we need to do. Just really quickly define that first mission that both of you were on, whether it be a mission together or something separate that involved each other, and we can use that probably to build on how you somehow get involved here. If either of you, which of you would like to start with that, or if you need time to think about it.
I think it would be awesome if we fought each other on a mission. So we were on opposite sides.
I like that.
Oh, and there is Shank. We might actually have Whisper here. So you, Mei Ling, you're owned by 10,000. And do you say 10K1 or do you say 10,001? Or you say 10001? If you're saying it out loud, like if people are just talking.
I didn't actually think of how you'd say it out loud. I think you'd say 10K1 most of the time it's when you're speaking in English. I suspect a lot of the like higher level folks are Asian, so they'd either say it in Chinese or Japanese. But where it's a little, it might roll off the tongue a little better. But I think 10K1 is how you'd say it in English most of the time.
Okay. All right, so quick pause to roll him in. Shank, are you able to hear us?
Yep.
Awesome. One quick thing, if you could change your on this server temporarily and in Roll20 change your name to match your character, just so I don't have to keep translating in my head. And feel free to change it back later, but. And then the other thing, let's see. Oh yeah, so we were just catching up. We were figuring out how to involve Riser and Mei Ling with each other and get them into this mission. And we were about to have to move forward without you, but luckily you showed. So we can deal with that now. Okay, back to your mission. So you're owned by 10K1. That would be, what is that in Japanese? That's
Ichi man Ichi, I think.
Sounds right.
I think similar to that.
Okay, well.
Japanese and Chinese have a word for 10,000.
Right. Yeah, Chinese, well, it's not Chinese though, so that's not going to help you any. Okay, so I'm just going to say 10,001 for now. But so you're owned by 10,001. So both of your cyberware is by them, and both of those count as owned by them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Riser. Go ahead. Okay. And Riser, you remind me Are you owned by anyone, or are you?
Yeah, I'm owned and hunted. I think we said Cypher? I'm kind of drawing a blank here.
Okay, let me. Yeah, that's not written down. Is it? No. Okay, so you're owned for your synthetic nerves, and you're hunted for your muscle grafts. You're owned, I assume, by Saifu
Yeah, I think so.
because
Let's
you
just
joined
say
up with you
yes.
joined up with them, and they installed those as is typical for their security division. By the way, I don't know if you caught it or not, but last session we not sure if you were showing up again, and we needed to have a weapons manufacturer, so we actually updated Saifu a bit. They're not just the training they were, now they're security and weapon as well. And if we need to transition that to another corporation, we can, but I figured they at least had a division that was security and weapon
Yeah,
division,
that's fine.
so okay.
I
So
have
they can
no
still
problem with that.
be focused on training overall, but we use them as a security setup. So you're owned by them, and then
Yeah, so the
why are you?
idea was that he was made. So like he was a product, like a synthetic bodyguard kind of thing. And like he got away somehow. And I think maybe we can wrap that into a origin mission.
Right. Okay. And in the getting away, is that how are you hunted for your muscle grafts?
He's a valuable piece of machinery as far as they are concerned. So
Well, the owned would have covered that. So hunted means you actively did something that makes them actually want to be after you. What was it that you? Is it just you're leaving? Is it the way that you left?
I think maybe like he has like a company secrets in his design or something like that.
Right. I
It's
mean, the
like they
fact that
don't
they.
want this to leak.
Okay. So you left. You left their employ, or did you like?
Yeah, I
Okay.
managed to break free. Like there had to be some sort of metrics attack in which like some programming got destroyed, and then he managed to escape.
Okay. So you actively like fled from them, and they're hunting you because they either don't want those secrets, they want to destroy you to keep those secrets from being distributed, or they want to get you back to save on their investment.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So knowing those two things, how would you? So if we have a mission where you're on opposite sides, how would that have happened? What?
I think it could make sense that I was bodyguarding somebody that he was trying to go after. And we had some dramatic blade fight.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So that can be one of your missions. Like, so if you were bodyguarding it, I guess his mission would be the assassination attempt on, or either the capture attempt of that person, and then you would be involved by having been the opposite side of that.
Right.
So I was gonna say Trashman might have links with Riser, like maybe he helped them escape, or he like saw him on a security camera and like felt bad for him, seeing he was kind of a prisoner, and overrid some security codes in his like technology in his mind that allowed him to basically free himself.
Yeah, that could probably be useful as like a diversion in a mission.
And maybe Mei Ling is someone who was hunting Riser for Saifu. I don't know. That could make sense if he like broke free. I don't know. Just my 2 cents.
I don't think we need to be on opposite sides of both missions. Maybe I was part of the mission to bail you out too.
Let's start it this way. Which of those missions do you think would have happened first? The one where you were against each other, I'm assuming?
Seems
I
like
mean, wouldn't he need to be free?
No, I think the opposite. Yeah, I think he got free first, and then later got hired for a mission that I was on the other side of.
Okay, so then let's go this way then. Riser, describe your mission.
So mine would be the assassination.
Okay.
I'm asking. Like, are we doing the?
So basically, this is during character creation. You define a mission that you are a lead or major part of, and then the person to your left says how they were involved, and then anyone else who wants to be involved can, and each person who does gets a more notice from the corporation that was hurt by that. So for you, if that was an assassination, if the first thing was you breaking out, it sounds like, so probably your first mission would have been. But if you wanted to go this route, your first mission could be, or the mission you're defining could be your escape from Saifu. And this
Right.
would be like
And I
trash
think
men
that
involved.
probably happened when me and Whisper were in there in Saifu, because we ran our first mission together against them, and I probably saw him and helped him escape at that point. So that way, Whisper and Whisper's to the left of him, so that would it would just make sense, I think, canon-wise.
Right. Well, you can both be involved. Like Whisper is, whoever's to your left is absolutely involved, but then anyone else can be involved if they choose to be. Although each person that's involved adds more to the clock for that company. So Riser, this is your mission against Saifu. So Riser mission versus Saifu escape. The only issue, and I'm fine with just like glazing over this and not worrying about it. The only issue is technically it should be a different mission than either of yours. So he could have been involved in your missions and added to that clock, but this should be his mission against Saifu that
Oh, okay.
should technically be distinct. Although, again, if it makes sense, we can just make that all one thing.
I was just suggesting.
Yeah, and it's not a bad suggestion, which is why I'm like, maybe we can just kind of glaze over that particular rule.
So maybe we can say that there was a secondary mission on that same mission which involved my escape.
Or it could be that your escape was like you. What?
It could be an opportunist thing.
Yes,
that
exactly.
Their attack on Saifu coincidentally also enabled you to escape at the same time,
That's exactly what I was about
even
to say.
though that wasn't their objective.
Right.
Yeah.
So something they were doing triggered. It gave you the opportunity to make your escape.
Makes sense.
So Riser's mission. It's a mission versus Saifu, and something about which. So there were two missions that Whisper and Trashman you were involved in. One of them was against Apex. Is that right?
Yeah, we broke into Saifu to steal some sort of security codes that would
Right.
stop the turrets at Apex System.
Yes. So there was a conference, and you went there and you stole the information. Now, how does
It was the other way around. We stole it from the conference at Apex first, and then broke into Saifu.
You're right. Because Saifu had the prototype defense system. Yes. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So in the process of that mission happening, so Saifu was apparently had a bleeding edge defense system that couldn't be cracked. So to make the what was it you were trying to do against Saifu?
We were stealing
Data?
we were
Financial
stealing,
data, if I remember.
like customer data, like demographics and like marketing things.
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah, so you're pulling information, EDC approach by takers to get consumer data, so at least from what you know, you were pulling consumer data, demographics, and things like that, things that are just worth a lot.
That's just what they told us.
Right, exactly. And to do that, you had to break into Saifu to get the details. No, to Apex. You had to break into Apex to get the. Wait, against Apex.
We had to steal the information from the conference that Apex was putting on, and then we broke into Saifu.
Okay.
And when we,
Either I
when
have
we-
these notes written backwards, or we're flipping it now. One or the other. I could have written these backwards. But either way, it works better for us anyway if that's
Yeah.
the way it's going.
And when we put the codes in at Saifu, it released like the locks on the doors or something like that, allowing a. I noticed on the security camera some ninja-looking guy with a katana step out of his room.
Okay. So during that point, Riser, how are they holding you? Were you actually a prisoner in a room, or did they how was
I
it
think
that they
it's
were controlling
more
you?
that he like the only 40k there is a type of assassin that they basically put in stasis and only wake up when he needs to kill people, like Winter Soldier.
I see.
Right? So it's
Okay.
something like that. He just
Okay.
never got too deep.
So you were basically in storage, and something they did caused that system to wake you. And because it wasn't
That's way
expected
more
and you
cool.
didn't have any handlers, you were able to take advantage of that and make your own escape.
Yep.
Okay. So Riser's doing this. So to your left, that would be Whisper. How? This is probably already answered, but how were you involved in his mission?
Maybe I was the one that triggered the security thing protocol that released him.
All right. So something you did, try either as a distraction or as a mistake, you ended up triggering that, and he was able to escape due to that. At that point, we're going to go ahead and add 1 to their clock. That was Saifu, right? I keep getting this backwards.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm adding 1 to
And
Saifu.
does he get links with us, or do we get links with him?
Whisper, you get a link with Riser.
Yeah, I guess so. I released him from his cell
Yeah.
at first mission.
I was also on that mission helping him, so I get one with Riser as well.
You can choose if you were actually involved in more than if this was just a trip thing and it was something, that's one thing, but if you actually then as he was escaping got involved and helped him in some way, then you can also add to the clock and get your link.
I was probably just there.
Okay, so you weren't really directly involved. All right, and Mei
Maybe I
Ling.
met him at some point.
Yeah, Mei Ling, were you involved in Riser's escape mission?
I think I was. So I think it wasn't completely coincidence that Whisper got him free, that I had been hired as part of the mission to get Riser out. And, it was part of that mission. So, and someone knew about Riser and that he was there, and knew that there was another team going in, and so I was sent in to piggyback on Trashman and Whisper's mission. Not that they ever saw me,
Just take advantage of their
but
what they were doing.
taking advantage of their presence and their impact on the corporate network while they were doing their thing. And so we managed to sort of ride their coattails to get Riser activated, and then I met up with him to bust out.
Okay, so that means that we are going to add another. So you'll add a link with Riser, and I'm going to add another step to the clock. All right, now your mission, Mei Ling.
All right, so my mission, I think, was I'm going to say it was against EDC. It was sort of an indirect mission against them, though, because it was one of their executives who was trying to defect to 10K1. And so 10K1 sent me to meet up with this executive and smuggle him out, essentially, of a giant office building. So we started making our way out, and at some point ran into conflict and dramatic fights.
Okay, so you were sent to help exfiltrate a defector from. You were sent by 10K1 to infiltrate EDC and exfiltrate a defector, an EDC defector.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Riser, how were you involved in this?
I was probably like added muscle to the mission.
Okay, so
Weren't you going to
worked-
be on the other side?
I mean, we're supposed to be a team.
After you help him, yeah.
My character would have no problem cooperating with someone she had also fought with. And I think that's going to be like a recurring theme of her contacts with NPCs.
So maybe I was sent to kill off that guy because they know he was a mole.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Okay, so you were sent
So
in.
if you were sent in to get him out, I was sent in to finish him off.
Now, were you
Yeah.
aware? Do you think that who sent you first?
Probably
Riser.
EDC, right?
Okay, so you were working for EDC. So you got away from Saifu and you went and worked with EDC, or they just hired you as a mercenary?
Yeah, they hired me as an assassin.
Right. A merc assassin at that point. I mean, was it a one mission thing, or were you working with them regularly? I guess is my question.
No, it was just a contact.
Okay, so it's just a single job in assassination. They wanted some deniability, so they hired someone from outside. Okay, so they contacted you and had you. Now then, the question is, does EDC know that 10,001 is sending someone to pull out the defector, or did they just find out that he was a defector and they wanted to take him out? Like, basically, was it a reactive mission to the what they knew was an attempt to exfiltrate him, or were they just trying to get rid of him quietly because he was causing
Maybe
problems?
they found out that he was a mole because someone was trying to extract him, right? And so it was reactionary.
Okay, so they found out that that was happening and sent you in. Okay. So Riser add one link with Mei-Ling. And that was against. Let me think about this. The web is getting too confusing. So Mei-Ling's is against EDC, so that's one against EDC. Okay. Add one. You're making friends all over the place. All right. Whisper, were you involved in this mission?
I'm trying to catch up here. Are they somewhere else physically? All this mission was going on.
This is backstory.
Oh,
Yeah, this is basically all. This is essentially a character creation. This happened prior to now, because everything up to now, they're somehow going to be coming in as either a team or possibly against each other, but you have to end up as a team ultimately. We have to work that out. But right now, this is like Riser escaped, and then he started working with EDC, and EDC had a defector that Mei-Ling had been hired to exfiltrate. Riser was hired to kill him when EDC found out that they had a defector who was planning on getting out. And this is talking about the mission to either exfiltrate or kill him. How are you involved? Or were you involved? You don't have to be.
I could be assigned by, let's say EDC knows this was going on secretly and they sort of assigned me to give them information on how to get about their jobs.
Okay. And that's going to add.
I thought Whisper worked for EDC, not against them.
He does.
Yeah,
And Riser was hired by EDC, so if he was helping Riser, that would be.
Oh, I thought this was Mei-Ling's.
It is Mei-Ling's, but Riser was sort of like countering.
Right. But it makes my mission more impactful against you
Right.
if you were involved too, even if
Exactly.
you were on the other side.
Yeah, which is why their clock would still go up even though you're helping them with the addition. But again, you don't have to be involved, even though you do work for that company. It's your choice. So you want to be involved, and you were providing. What were you providing?
I guess
Go ahead.
I could provide information for both actually. Like,
So you were like spying on my exfiltration job.
Maybe
I was sort of trying to connect you both in this mission. That
it
could
might
be a
even
thing.
be. It might even be that you actually were involved in finding out that there was a defector. You might have been the thing that triggered the event that caused the counter mission. I mean, that's, again, I'm not saying that is the case, but that's one thing you could say.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Okay, so you discovered a defector and you reported that, and then you found out that there was a mission to exfiltrate him, and you were the reason that EDC was aware of it and followed up with hiring Riser to take him out. Okay, and that's going to increase your EDC clock.
Yeah, so you get a link with me because you knew that I was involved in that.
Yeah. All right, and then Trashman, were you involved in this mission?
No.
Okay. All right, so in that mission, you two, did you face off, or were you just happened to be on other sides and Mei Ling succeeded and Riser was able to stop? How did that conflict actually happen?
I think we had so like the exfiltration went pretty smoothly in the early stages. I think bringing Riser onto the mission was just barely in time to get involved at all. You almost missed us. We almost got away clean. And so the defector was like dashing out of the lobby. Well, I stayed behind to fight off Riser's coming in to try and get him. And we had a dramatic knife fight in the middle of their corporate office building lobby.
Yeah, and the place got destroyed.
Okay.
So just for reference, let's see if this image works in my broadcast. That's what my implanted weapons look like.
Nice.
So if I remember right, you basically have prosthetic arms that look completely normal, except at extremely high-level scrutiny, like through technology. But when deployed, your hands kind of flip down, and your entire forearm just extends out into blades of some sort, similar to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Giant blade and big blades that like length of the forearm plus an extra time of that from the hinged little bit. And yeah, I get pretty scary when I start slashing people with them. Okay. Because up until then, I look really normal, and unless you're scanning me with radar or something, you don't realize I can do that.
So did you actually end up exfiltrating him? Did you get
out? Yeah, the guy got out. We had some pickup driver waiting for us, so he got bundled in, and I told him to go, and I went out a side door, fighting with Riser as we trashed the lobby of the office with our kicking each other into walls and stuff like that.
And what was the conclusion of that?
So I think between our fight was inconclusive. We both gave each other some damage, but nothing critical.
Okay. And for you, that wasn't personal. For you, it was just he was in the way of your job, so you were basically holding him off to complete the job and then getting out. You weren't
right. I wasn't out to get him. I expect he was out to get me to the extent that I was in his way for him killing my the person I was escorting. And once that person got away, he was. And maybe you have a different perspective on that, Riser, but I think we just sort of broke off and went our separate ways.
So yeah, Riser, how was this for you?
So I think the mission failed at some point. And when it was clear that I'm not gonna get paid, I just backed off.
Okay. So as soon as Mei Ling stopped fighting did you actually wait till she stopped fighting and then you stopped, or once it was clear that the executive had gotten away, you just gave up the fight? You didn't even worry about it at that point.
Once he got away, I just looked for an exit.
Okay. So Mei Ling, basically, as you were in that fight, the two of you were just going at it. He at some point just backed down and was clearly not trying to follow up. I guess at that point you also just pulled away and left. You just took advantage of
Yeah.
that. Okay. So you basically mutually
So
disengaged.
I think, right. I think, at the very first part of the fight, he was going after my, the executive, but after we engaged each other, I had my blade spring out and we started going after each other. Then it was a fight between us, and the executive was in the background, not right in the middle of our fight. And then he scoots out the door and hops in a car and it peels out. And at that point, our fight sort of gradually wound down and went our separate ways.
Got it.
Yeah.
Made separate exits, I think.
Okay.
Now we went for noodles.
That would be funny, actually. Just like, oh, hey, he's gone. You want to go grab some food?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could totally see my character doing that, in maybe not after trashing a corporate lobby exactly, but
Right.
Are they both
in
killers?
Yeah.
All right.
So at this
But I
point,
think we have different style enough that we're not going to tread on each other's toes too much.
Right. And when you were fighting Riser, considering that she was probably fighting close quarters with those blades, how are you fighting?
So my spec is a lot of blades and other melee weapons, some of them concealed, other just swords. So that was definitely a melee, like something from like anime.
Okay. All right, got it. I think I can visualize that. Okay. So and then ultimately it was a successful mission for Mei Ling. You tried to counter it and were unable to, and then just you mutually disengaged at that point. Whisper, I don't know, was there any follow up with that with you, or you were just involved in the early phases, and once he was exfiltrated, how did that resolve with you?
So I guess I was on the bad side of EDC for a short while because that didn't go as planned.
Right. Of course, you let them know. They wouldn't have known in the first place. It's not your fault that the whole thing failed.
Yeah, I would. I would have. Also, I
Not
guess
that-
I wasn't involved in there physically. I wouldn't be doing the
Okay.
muscle work.
I'm sure they still would have blamed you. I mean, they need someone to take the fall, so even though it wasn't probably your fault, I'm sure that you got most of the blame. So that makes sense either way.
Yeah, I got that corporate responsibility.
Yep.
Yeah. Can be a good reason that you're working for other people some of the time now too.
Yeah, that makes
It's
sense.
often good to, even if you have ties to one corp, to have problems with them too, because you may want to work against them some of the time.
Yeah, and they don't bat an eyelash about working against you. As soon as you're not useful to them, you're nothing. So, yeah, there's not a whole lot of loyalty in this relationship, even though
Nothing
they expect
possible.
100% loyalty. All right, so fast forwarding to now, all that happened, and that's in the past. Things have happened since then, and I'm not quite sure exactly how, but at this point, Whisper and Trashman are running a payload drop against Tenoshi Yelly Blast (TYB), and they are currently in the lower levels. The lower three levels are basically all marketing retail shops based around hardware and IP type merchandise and things like that. So it's about 100-story building, and they are trying to get up to the 97th floor. Everything from the 4th floor and up is corporate office and is blocked by, at least currently blocked by, an elevator which seems to have some sort of sensing in it, whether it be biometric or some kind of an RFID chip. That's not clear yet. Whisper had just gone through the lobby a couple times as a few different personas to try to just go up the elevator to see what it could see. I think not realizing that breaking that seal on the elevator and getting up would be the point where the action phase starts. You're technically still in the legwork. He's in the lobby. He was watching people come and go. His first entrance was not so graceful, and it raised some alarms. So the legwork is up a bit, and something else happened. Oh yeah, I raised the legwork because of your staking red. So that's 2. So that's the other thing. Even though you're not on the mission yet, you will end up getting a payout probably. So 1, we have to figure out how to roll Riser and Mei Ling into this, and 2, you have to figure out if they're going to be involved in the payout or not, and they might as well be. So I'm going to say that you should probably stake cred now, and we roll with it from there. So just from a mechanics standpoint, Riser, how many cred would you stake on this mission?
2.
2, okay. And Mei Ling?
I'll also stake.
2. 2 is perfect, so I don't have to change any clocks. Okay, so we've got 3, 3, 2, and 2. Good. So before moving forward, we have Whisper at the elevator. We have a somewhat alert company who's kind of watching. There was some security in the lobby looking for the person that Whisper previously was. He was in a disguise through some synth skin and some other stuff, so he looked like someone else. But they are on higher alert, and I think as Trashman was going through the systems, he was also starting to note that the systems that he's going through, the alert level seems to be raising slightly. It's not necessarily high alert yet, but it's definitely on notice. So there's a little bit more activity, a little bit more security precautions engaged, a few more processes that are devoting some cycle time to security over just what would typically be more focused on performance. So with that being the current state, I need to figure out how to bring Riser and Mei Ling in. My guess is it won't be immediately unless you have a reason it would be immediately. And the other question would be, are you coming in to support or work against this EDC incursion into TYB? Any thoughts?
I think we can be like added in as muscle because things are starting to, get messy.
Okay, so maybe Trashman, on noticing that there's an increase in security, and Whisper just getting a feel for the place, maybe you call in some added support.
Yeah, I don't see us just muscling through Plan B.
Right. Okay, so then just know that you need to do that. Right now, the two of you are... Well, one question, actually. Prior to that, how is it that the two of you are now working together? And how will you both be assigned to this when you're called in? And the people calling this in would be EDC or possibly just the White Tigers. I don't know why the White Tigers would have access to you, though, so it probably would be EDC calling in the reinforcements.
So Razor very early on got himself an agent. It's basically just a phone number and some address, and he gets job through it. And he doesn't know more about that agent, but he does a good job.
Yep, so you have a fixer that you typically work with. Okay. And he, I guess, is going to be the one who recommends you to EDC. They apparently work with the same person. Mei Ling, what about you?
I have a lot of fixers. Like half a dozen that offer me jobs at different times. So I don't have one that I always get missions from, but I have a lot of. I try and remain friends with everyone I ever work with, even people on the other side. So I have lots of contacts throughout the mission running world of our Sprawl.
Okay, so whenever this is called in, then the two of you will just probably be contacted by the same fixer who happens to know both of you, or in some way you'll both get a notice to try to jump in on this. And given your previous roles and your current role, you'll probably be pretty much ready to roll, so you'll be able to just be on the move fairly quickly and on site without too much trouble. So at the point that they call in, within a few minutes, within maybe 20, 30 minutes, you could probably be on site and ready. So just, I guess you'll be on deck for that.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So let's think about this. Right now, Whisper, remind me exactly what you were doing.
I just had that encounter with the guy trying to go up the elevator. It's as far as I got. Also, I knew about maybe the fire exit.
Right. So there's a fire exit there. There's the elevators with the button that you couldn't bypass that you had just... Oh, right. You just contacted Trashman, letting him know that and this was through text, letting him know that you needed some help with this. Okay, so since you contacted him, Trashman, you are currently preparing to look through the data that you're in the R&D lab. And what... Again, you, Trashman, remind me exactly what you were doing, and then we'll pick up there with you.
I was in the R&D area, and there were all these different color floating cubes. And I was going to start sifting for some pay data.
Okay. And you brought the SIFT program with you, so go ahead and run that.
What do I roll for that?
Well, first describe what it looks like and what it does, and then roll. I think the SIFT program itself tells you, doesn't it?
Oh, so it's like a research? Or is there like a paid data roll?
I think there is.
Yeah, I think there is too. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I can find this. So matrix moves. There's manipulates. There's no.
On page 155 in the database node information.
Thank you. I knew it was in there. I can never find the pages when I need to. 155, you said?
I believe so.
Ah, yes. This is what I was looking for. And this is R&D control systems or database. Yeah, let's call this database, and this will be search for pay data. And that's when you search pay data in database, roll mind. On a hit, you find something hot you can sell. On a 10 plus, when you hit the street to sell it, roll 7 to 9 and choose one fewer result. Okay. So you'll roll mind.
Yeah, so I open up my my cyber deck, and there's kind of like this blue grid overlay that I place in front of where all of these different cubes are passing through, and it just kind of scans all of them as they go through.
Okay. And this room is actually it's more set up like it's a it's almost like a lab with whiteboards, rows and rows of whiteboards that you're going through, and your SIFT is actually going to be going in, and it breaks up into probably dozens and dozens of its own little cube versions of itself, and each one goes and kind of scans a whiteboard, and then eventually they all come back, and a few of them have basically harvested some details off of there, and you got, wow, that's a pretty good roll. So you got a 6 and a 5, which is 11 plus 2 for mind, and then the plus 1 forward is for what?
Sift.
Ah, right, thank you. Okay, so that's like 13. You definitely got that. So you get pay data, so mark that you've got pay data. Let me go ahead and stick that somewhere. And that's when you hit the street to sell it.
So if you roll a 7 to 9 on hit the street, you can choose one fewer result.
Right. Which will be useful.
So from here, I want to find a basically a way into like the. Can I control security and control things like lights and cameras at the same time, or do I have to be in like a different node?
You will have to be in a slightly different node, but you might have access to that. So from where you are, you're in the hardware division. You'll have to back out and go into another area that has to do with building security. You think that as you were going through, you actually noticed where you would have needed to do that.
Yeah, so I'll try and hop onto another cube and ride it to a place where I could maybe like override the elevator and like control some security cameras or something like that. Maybe
Okay.
like lights, cut the lights to help Whisper or something like that.
Okay.
Also, I am going to say that my gear is some sort of remote access plugin.
All right, so you're converting your gear now into. Okay, and that's something that you gave to Whisper already.
Yeah.
Okay, so that will be.
I'm in the van. And you said that was kind of like a mission-only sort of thing, and I would have to buy a better one later.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that EDC provided this to you. And okay, so here's the gear. So EDC provided it. It's a. What is this? Let's see. Remote piggyback node. And it will allow you to be like you're physically close to a certain area that you can use to jump. And it comes with, on your side, you've actually got a targeted radio array. So you basically have to have it pointed directly at it, and then it uses high energy transmission to actually reach 98 floors that you need to do, or 95 or so, through stone and everything to actually be able to attach to that node. But you'll be able to use that to piggyback on. You don't know that it's necessarily going to be a one-time use, but knowing the corporation and that they provided this to you and how powerful it could be, your guess is, like, just your assumption is probably that it's going to burn out on use.
Okay. I have one more question about this. Gain an extra intel on hit. That doesn't apply to my pay data, does it? That doesn't give me like an extra pay data by chance?
So you rolled. Wait, what are you? Why would you get that?
The neural interface with the data storage.
The interface that allows you to jack into the matrix when you use research to search internally or externally to store data, gain extra intel on a hit. Well, you're searching internally stored data. I'm gonna say you can get intel for that, and it's going to not necessarily. Yeah, you found something else that's going to be useful now.
Okay.
But I think that's for research. The research move, though.
Well, it says specifically when you use research to search internally.
So yeah, search for pay data is a different move.
Yeah, technically it's mined and not research, so no.
Okay.
I could still allow it, but I think you're good right now. So you've still got 2 pieces of intel, right?
Yeah. And I'm do I need to roll anything to get into the other node, or?
Well, sort of. So you work your way back out of the hardware division, and there's another one in that room that had branching off that you had gotten through. There's one section that has another firewall in it, and it's going into the security section. And you can tell that because there's a number of ice that are kind of floating around on the other side. There's boxes that are kind of in a patrol pattern. You recognize them as countermeasures. To get through there, you'll have to bypass that firewall, and this firewall is a little bit stronger than the first one that you went through. But it is physical building management and security.
Okay. If you want to pause me right there, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Whisper.
I'll just text Whisper and let him know I'm on my way to help him with the elevator or any sort of security issues.
Okay. And again, any time any of you want to jump in on something that's going on, feel free to do it. Don't worry about interrupting too much unless it's like really disruptive and totally unrelated. But as long as it's related, it's fine to interrupt whenever. Whisper, I
They
don't
also
know that
do
you've got
legwork.
anything to do, but sorry, go ahead.
Did they also do legwork, the two killers?
Yeah, we certainly could.
You
If we have a way to think of how we're tied into the mission.
Right, because right now they're not even aware of this mission, but
Because I might be triggering the legwork phase without them being here yet.
oh, you mean
But the
triggering the
idea
action
is that
phase?
we only get sent once we're in the action phase.
Right. Yeah, so it really depends. I mean, if they have time, because they're not going to have a lot of time to get ready, prepped, and come in, but they might have had some information that comes from EDC, so they'll have a chance to do a little bit of legwork if you don't jumpstart the action clock before they have a chance to even be aware of the situation.
We could also possibly like do things out of order in timeline. So maybe we get our call, hey, be on alert or something before we're actually moved in.
Yeah, so we can figure that out. I'll give you a chance to do the legwork if you need to, if it makes sense, if it's something that your character would actually do on the way or in prep.
Okay.
So yeah, we can figure that out, and some of it might be retro, some of it might not.
Can I use a piece of intel right now, perhaps?
For what?
I would like to know in the path that Whisper would be taking, what sort of resistance he would have. If I get him straight to the 97th floor, or will he have to get off and go through an area and face some sort of ground units? I just want to know about like the security of the area, of the path he's taking, more so.
Yeah, so I would say this will probably trigger once you get into the security node you're planning to go into, but you can convert that into something that relates to security patrol paths or.
I'll just wait until then. That's cool.
Okay. I mean, you can definitely transform it, but
I could just hack in and
that's
then,
when it makes sense for it to come in.
Because I could just hack in and then like look at security cameras and probably find all of that out anyway, right?
Yes, if you can get access to them, yep.
Right, more or less. Okay, cool. I'll just wait then. Sorry.
Okay, and you might not have to wait long because I don't know that Whisper can do anything until you help anyway. But Whisper, what's up?
So I remember that there was a way to open the fire exit. It's just that I don't exactly know what it was.
Yeah, you didn't spend too much time asking about that, but the fire escape itself has it has a warning that there's an alarm that will trigger if you open it. I mean, it's just a typical thing. It's an emergency escape, and it has a warning on it that if this door is opened, a fire alarm will sound, or an alarm will sound. But it's unlike the elevator. It doesn't look like it has that level of it doesn't look like it has any kind of sensor to block entry.
Can I tamper with the sensor? And like I would spend my hold to say I would disable the security to the fire exit.
Yeah, if you want to spend a hold, you can absolutely like try to bypass that.
Right, so I'll spend a hold.
You still have 2 covert entry holds.
So I'll bypass the security system regard, or rather, maybe disable the system. Oh wait, I have to bypass it before I can disable it. So I'll just bypass it first.
Okay.
So I'll basically stand there while waiting for the clear. No one's looking around. I'm guessing the room is empty. I start to tamper with the sensor system with whatever little kits I have in my pocket.
All right. So since you're using a hold, you don't have to roll anything for that. It just happens, right? So you're using your hold to bypass this. Okay. So yeah, you wait until there's not much traffic. Most of the people that are up are staying up, and most people that are coming in have already come in. This isn't the time where shift changes, it seems. So you're not getting a lot of people. There's every once in a while a person coming through, and a couple times there's been 2 or 3 people together, but there's not been a ton of traffic. So you just kind of space it between those. You can hear the door in the front very clearly, so you know when someone's coming, and the elevator is very obvious when it's moving. So you just kind of go in between those sections, and I think you look at the bar. You see that it's a pretty simple mechanical thing, so you can block. Basically, there's a circuit that's completed whenever it's closed, so you can kind of wedge something that you have in a way that it maintains the circuit so that even when you open the door, the circuit doesn't trigger. You know it's not going to hold for very long, like it's not going to be something you could just leave there and it's going to disable it completely, but it will allow you to open and close the door a few times and not trigger the alarm.
So I guess I'm gonna start walking upstairs. All the way.
Okay. So open the door. It opens up into what you would expect. It's a fire door, and on the inside is a stairwell. It's about like half a flight, and then turn around half a flight, turn around half a flight. So each 2 flights of stairs is 1 story, and it's just a very dirty, like dingy, concrete walled set of stairs with a single handhold on the center area to keep you from just like falling over the edge, and it goes up. So you're just gonna start going up.
Yes, would there be a panel along the staircases?
There's no electronics in here other than there's emergency lights every few feet, but there's not really anything that's heavy electric except at the doorways. Once you get up after you go up 1 story, you notice that the entryway into it has a doorway, and that doorway is blocked by this one is blocked by a hand scanner.
Right. Would the device that EDC gave Trashman be able to tamper with that sort of thing?
Possibly. I mean, it allows him to basically use that node, as long as he knows exactly where it is, to tag into it and use it to jump into anything that's locally wireless to that. Or it has a little attachment that has a universal connector that if you found a hardwired area that you could plug it into, it would give him direct access. Like he could wirelessly connect to that device and then from there directly access the network.
I can still access where you're at. I just need a second.
The problem that you have, and the problem that you may or may not think of it, he probably would think of it, is you don't know how sturdy it is. You don't know how quickly, if it's going to burn out, you don't know how quickly it's going to burn out.
Right, it might be like a one use.
Alright, so I'll try to get close to the offices that I need to be, just to give them, like better access to the whole security thing or the matrix.
Okay, so right now you're on the 4th floor. Just keep going up the steps.
Yes.
Alright.
I'm trained for this.
How in shape are you again?
I could say I've been in the job for quite a while.
Yeah, you're an infiltrator.
That's where I developed physical fitness, if you will.
I'm not going to make you roll meat for that, but I should. Alright, so the trip up is...
Should I be rolling?
What?
Should I be rolling meat?
No. The trip up is actually relatively unassuming, at least the first 50 floors, and I'll pick up from there after that. It takes a while to get up the 50 floors, and you're pretty tired after going up 40-something flights of steps. But most of the doorways have varying types of electronics blocks, different types of things. Some of them are actually physical locks, but you're guessing that there's probably more to it than that. Most of them had some sort of biometrics, whether it be a retina scanner or hand scanner, and you're assuming that the floors are likely isolated from each other to a large extent because of the vast difference in security at different levels. But you're not really seeing any people on the stairway, and you get up to about the 50th floor, and you haven't seen a whole lot of, other than the fact that the access means to each floor is slightly different. There's not a whole lot of differentiation between the doors and everything. So let me know if you do anything different up on the way, but I'm assuming you're just going to keep going to at least floor 90 otherwise.
I will message Trashman about it, that I'm slowly getting to some areas that you might need to hack.
Okay.
I'll just ask him, like, basically what exactly, like what floor and what door or whatever. Just tell me what he needs to get through. And I guess I'll start moving through the security area knowing this. I don't know if the killers are going to come in at any point, but they can interrupt me whenever.
Yeah, you haven't actually called in for any backup yet, so they wouldn't be doing that yet.
Oh, I didn't know that's how we were playing it. Okay, so
Yeah, so you would need to inform EDC that you needed backup and give some justification for that, and then they would deploy.
okay. I don't know a scenario. I hope a scenario arises where we need that. I'll just hack into the security portion.
Okay, so to get into the security area, you're going to need to pass that firewall, and it does look like it's a little bit more intense than the first one you went through for the hardware research division.
Okay.
You do still have 2 console cowboy holds. And did you actually... Oh, you haven't converted the intel yet. You're going to, but you haven't. Alright. Okay, so are you going to roll for that, or are you going to... Because that will be... If you're rolling, it's going to be why am I blanking on what it's called? What's the move? Sorry, now I need to look at the sheet.
Jacket bypass system.
Yes. Compromise security or bypass system? Which one was that? It's compromise security, I'm going to say. So yeah, you'll need to do a compromise security check, which is mind. Unless... What was the other one?
So I don't think Console Cowboy would help me just yet. Those are all the things that it does.
Okay, let me check.
It increases my hold, which I think implies that I need to already have a hold on it.
Then 1 hold for any of the following effects. Prevent a construct from triggering an alert, avoid an ice routine, increase your hold over compromised security or manipulated systems by 1. Wait, increase your hold over... That's interesting. Okay. I thought one of the things that it allowed was... Prevent a construct.
Maybe I didn't copy that and paste that for some reason.
Maybe. Alright, give me 3 seconds, I was thinking that you could use that to bypass this, like use one of your holds just to bypass, but otherwise we'll just roll for it. Yeah, I don't have the console cowboy in front of me. Okay. Actually,
that looks right. It's on playbooks I have. It's the same wording.
okay, so prevent a construct from triggering, avoid an ice routine, or increase your hold over compromised security or manipulated systems by 1. Alright, then yeah, you'll need to roll a compromised security.
And is that synth?
That, I believe, is mind.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mind.
Compromise is mind, yes. So 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so with an 8, that gives you 1 hold. And with that hold...
Okay.
Sorry, I thought you were about to say something. And with that hold, you can spend it to activate a security measure on that subsystem, and in this case, you can use it to get past the firewall without issue.
Any setbacks?
Let me think about this. No.
No, it's just that you get 1 hold instead of 3.
Right.
Oh, okay. So
Setback would have been if you rolled a 6, but yeah.
3 hold total then?
It's separate hold. It's from Console Cowboy. Although you can use your Console Cowboy hold to add one more to your compromised security. But you might want it for fighting the ice that's there too.
Right.
I'm just. This is the first time I've ever done it, so I'm unfamiliar with what
So
that one hold is for.
So the hold can be used to activate a security measure on that subsystem. So with this one roll, you will be able to compromise one piece of security, and in this case, it's going to be the firewall to enter in this subsystem. If you need to compromise more, you have to roll again.
Gotcha. All right, so yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll just break in for now.
Okay, so again, this is actually, it looks similar to the previous. It looks like just a wall of fire that's blocking the entryway. And as you come in, similar to what you did before, you just I can't remember exactly how you did it. Something fired out of your.
I jumped onto to one of the cubes and like rode it in.
But then you froze the firewall. Remember?
Oh yeah, I froze the scanner and rode it in.
Yeah, I don't remember if you like finger fired at it or if your cyber deck just kind of popped it out.
No, it was with my gun.
Okay, so yeah, you do the same thing here, and you basically just freeze the firewall and it shatters, and you pass through. And as you're passing through, it kind of reforms behind you, but it doesn't trigger it doesn't raise any further alarms or alerts, and you're within the system. This system is built more like it's similar to it's like a fortress. And you recognize what looks like soldiers, although they're very abstract, kind of patrolling in various areas. And there are locations to one side that look like they control different subsystems of the building. Most of them security related. On another side, there's some other access areas and some other unrelated building mechanisms that you don't think are really going to be useful, but things like controlling, maybe they'll be useful, things like controlling sprinklers and halon systems and other types of emergency response type systems. And there's also communications flows through this node, so you'll be able to potentially have access to managing phone systems and data flow from within here to some extent for most of the building.
And can I do all of that from one location in here, or do I have to like move over to them? And I guess, can I do it like quick enough? Yeah, I know the Matrix is a lot quicker, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your thoughts right now are so fast that everything seems slow, but a lot of this happens in the blink of an eye. But yeah, you from within this node, you get the sense that you probably can control most of these things, although a lot of them require higher level privilege than you maybe currently have, so you will likely have to do some tricks to allow yourself to be able to do it, but this is what you do. So, yeah.
Okay, I want to get to a level of security where I can control multiple things. Like I want to primarily get the hand scanner to work for Whisper on the 97th floor.
So you basically want to find out where to get the biometrics for the stairwell?
Right, and then I'd like to do like cut the cameras and their communications and things like that.
Okay. And it doesn't take you long. You kind of take a quick stock of the area. As you're doing it, you're avoiding the random patrolling of the not quite human patrols that are walking through. It's not too hard because while there's more than you think, you can tell that the alert level is a little higher. They've got more processes running for security scans than typical, but right now it's nothing that you can't handle. So you're just occasionally stepping back and letting things pass in front and hiding behind a construct of a wall in a few cases just to avoid being noticed, but it's not a big issue. You recognize the subsystems that you would need to access, so anytime you want to get access to those, you know where they are.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll get the biometrics for the door then.
Okay, so you're going to basically try to... Your goal is to, at the point that Whisper needs access to a specific door, your goal is to try to disable or fake entry for that particular door?
Yeah, I just want to like cut the I don't know, could I maybe just like have it believe that it was scanned and it would open. Like I compromised the security on it, and it reads for him that it was scanned, and he can open the door.
Right, that can be how you handle that. So while you're searching for that whisper, you're still working your way up. At this point, you're about the 90th floor. What is your plan? Whisper.
Right, before I try to enter the door or the fire exit, I'll try to listen in with my cyber ear.
So which floor are you at this point? What floor are you planning on going to?
I guess the target floor, the
Okay,
highest
so you're
one,
going to
was
the
it?
97th. All right. The
Oh, yeah.
97th, as you get to that one that's the first one that you've seen has a significantly different layout, and it actually has a retinal scanner as well as a biometric scanner, and then the handle itself looks different than the others, like the knobs of the door itself.
Right, so I'm gonna message Trashman about this thing. Hopefully, he could hack it.
So Trashman, you get the message as you found the general area where it is. He lets you know that he's at the 97th floor, and that it seems to be a little bit heavier secured than the other floors.
Do I have access to like blueprints of this building, perhaps?
You can probably.
Or would I have to use an intel for that, or can I like hack into something from here and find it?
So you could definitely use an intel for either schematics, or you can use an intel to find. You're in this area, and anything that makes sense to find in this area you can find. So I'm sure there's schematics. I'm sure there's patrol details, things like that.
All right, I want to find schematics of the 96th and 97th, maybe even the 98th, and see if there's if he can get in above or below, and there's an easier security system, like on a stairwell, a different stairwell that could lead him down there.
Okay, either you can use intel to just have that and get that, or you'll roll, say, a manipulate systems to pull the information that you need.
Is that another mind roll?
That is synth.
Okay, I'll use one of my intel for that.
Okay. So this intel, technically it was from public record, but really this is going to be a combination of what you found in public record and what you're finding now. And this is schematics, and I'll say you can get the schematics for all 3 floors. Schematics.
Public record could have been from the construction company or something.
Yeah, so it's a combination of, you got some basic schematics from them, but you also found some details in the system of modifications they've made that aren't in the public record, and that is something that might be useful. But anything that comes down to needing to know schematics for this, I'm assuming that you'll forward this information to Whisper, and he'll get a +1 for anything that knowing the layouts of the floors would be useful. So he's at the 97th floor. He's asking, I'm assuming, Whisper, did you ask actually to have that bypass, or did you just say you were there and to hold? Like, are you expecting him to follow up on something?
Yeah, I guess, because I can't really go anywhere unless he has another plan.
Yeah, I'd probably just let him know that I needed 1 second.
So I've got an idea for how to get us injected into the mission without them screwing up any of their roles.
Uh-huh.
On those schematics, you can see that there is a strike team barracksed on the 97th floor, right inside that security door. And they are on alert. And like within seconds of you guys screwing up anything at this point, there are going to be like 3 or 4 heavily armed cyborgs coming out for blood. They're not alert yet. They're, beyond just sort of a vague sense that they are on standby. But you know that there is danger just around the corner.
So this looks like it might be tricky.
I'm guessing I either bypass the the emergency door on the first floor to let the killers in, or we get access to the elevator to bring them up because they want to walk.
I can, if they can get into where the fire exit is, I'll like contact EDC and tell them that they should bring some people a little bit more lethal. But I guess if they could get in past the um, receptionist and get to the fire escape, I could hack that and they could get up to you.
Okay, so you're going to contact EDC, let them know you might need backup. Correct?
Right.
Okay.
I just don't know how they'll get past the.
Right.
I'm sure they'll have their own way. But yeah.
Okay, so you contact EDC. Do you let them know you're not sure how to get them in, or do you just say we need some fire support or something?
Yeah, I'll let them know that, and then maybe that's like a small window for them to do like a couple legwork things since they didn't get the opportunity.
I mean, I think all we'll need is a getaway driver.
I mean, like get like a disguise or something to walk past the, or some sort of outfit to not raise any suspicion walking past the receptionist or something of that sort.
Yeah, I've got an idea for that.
So okay, so you contact EDC, and you let them know that. So Trashman, you contact EDC. How are you contacting them? Are you just like sending them a message?
Yeah, just on Cyberdeck like I usually do. I've never actually met anyone from there besides agents they've sent.
All right, so you send them a message. You give them GPS coordinates where you are. You let them know that there are. It's a secure area, unsure, like no current plan for infiltration, and you give details on the what you found as far as what you think might be potentially. You don't know. You don't have details on what exactly is behind that door. You don't know how heavily armed they might be. You don't know. You don't even know if there is a strike team or not. You just assume there is based on the schematics because the way it's set up, that just seems like what that area would be used for. And there's like what looks like an area that's designed to be an armory, and it's even labeled as armory. And there's an area that just the way it's labeled and the way it's built out, the things you found outside of the public record, these are modifications that were made beyond the public record. And the fact that these aren't in the public record and they are the nature of what they are and the way they're labeled, it gives you an idea that there's going to be some strong resistance at that point. And you let them know those details, and then
probably let Whisper know to maybe retreat down the stairway a bit and try and stay out of sight because it's dangerous on the 97th.
right.
Oh boy.
And they send, and within a minute or so, they send back a message, and it pretty much just says acknowledged, deploying assets, deploying assets en route, 45 minutes. Now, at this point, Riser, Mei Ling, both of you are individually contacted by your fixer, who has a fast response job request that I assume that you will accept and get details on. Let me know if that's not true. But given the nature of the jobs you've gotten from them, anytime you get a fast response request, you know that you just need to throw things together and head out. So they give you a location to meet up, and from there you are to, and they provide a vehicle that takes you to the location. So, and from there it's up to you to figure out the details on what you're going to do. They also they give you an anonymous communication details that forwards to Trashman, so you can use that to communicate with him on the way. So at this point, any legwork that you want to do, because you at this point have no idea what's coming up, so you probably want to both plan how you're going to get up as well as figure out what's going on. So you're aware of this, you know you need to get things together, and you know you need to contact Trashman to get there, and you have a driver.
I'll just ask for a briefing, which I don't think we need to actually.
Yeah, you guys are already filled in out of character.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you can just fill us in on the that there's a potential quick response force on the place that you're supposed to be hacking, and you don't want to get caught out by them. And you tell us who it is we're going up against.
Right. Also, that you guys need to find a way to get inconspicuously through the lobby, past the receptionist, and to the fire escape located near the elevator, where I would then let you in and you would meet another operative working with me.
Sounds good. I have an idea for that. I'm going to call up one of my... I'm going to declare a contact, who I don't have a name for yet, but I'll come up with one perhaps. Or if somebody else has a contact name, that would be great. But this is a former, a sort of mid-level employee of TYB who I've worked with in the past. And what's that?
Of who?
It's a TYB employee.
Oh, TYB, got it.
But she is semi-independent. She doesn't. She's not like tightly integrated with them, but she's very connected with their. She's like a fixer for an outside fixer for them. So she works for them a lot and has lots of connections, but she doesn't. She isn't technically an employee.
So she's
and so
contract?
Yeah, pretty regularly. But the way being a contractor works in this world is you're often chiseling the folks that you're working for some of the time, and they're trying to scam you too at the same time. So, it's all fair. And so anyway, I want to contact her and try and get an ID as someone with a reason to be going into their building. Like,
what was her name?
I haven't come up with that yet.
Okay, let's come up with that really quick.
Yeah, and anybody have a name generator?
Can I dish for the alternative way in? So, we need to get to the top floor, right?
I think we just need to bypass the receptionist, get past the receptionist. And I think we just brazen it out. All right, I got that.
I got a name I just posted in chat. You don't have to
that works too.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So I'm going
add that to your sheet.
Add that as contact.
Okay.
So, so I want Tasha to set me up with an appointment in the building or something like that, or get me an ID of an employee there or something like that I can have a connection with, that I can just walk in and say, yeah, here's my information, receptionist. I gotta go in now.
Okay.
And Riser would be my bodyguard.
And Riser, were you going along with this plan? So basically, the two of you have met up, and you're en route in whatever vehicle they provided, and you're probably discussing this. Are you good with that plan, or do you have any suggestions of your own?
I mean, that can work, but we do need to get to the top floor, right? That's where the party is happening.
Right, but I think Whisper and Trashman can get us to the top floor once we're into the elevator area. Either we
stairs are available.
Either the stairs or the elevator itself.
Said he would let you in through the fire escape staircase right next to the elevator, the emergency exit.
The main trick is getting past receptionist without her raising further alarm. So this is
right.
His plan does that, and then from there, either the elevator or the fire escape could be routes. Although if she hears you going up the fire escape, she might be like, wait, what? So you do have to be a little careful about that. But
what if we get through the roof, like a drop or something?
You don't know about the layout at this point, so you may be... I don't know. Do you want to do that? Is that something you want to follow up on?
I mean, let's do the first roll to try and get IDs, And if that fails, we'll try something else.
Okay, so do a hit the street then on your contact mailing.
All right.
So that's a 9 plus 1 plus
That's
1,
a
so
11.
All right, so you get a little something extra. Choose your intel or gear.
Can I like say something out of character? Like,
Sure.
me and me and Shank were talking about exit plans, and we both definitely agree that wingsuit parachute suits are the coolest possible path.
Easy. Yeah.
So we definitely need gear to escape.
I can see
regardless
Whisper doing
how we
that.
get in.
I'm having hilarious visions of Trashman doing that. Maybe I
Oh,
misunderstand what he looks like.
Trashman's third floor on the can. He's not going up at all. He doesn't need to escape. He's going to get in the pizza van and take off.
Okay. All right. I gotta see him up and trying to wingsuit down.
I picture him as the Asian kid from the Goonies, just grown up.
Yeah, I think I probably did too. Something similar to that. All right. Okay. So what is the? So you're in. So okay. You
So
rolled it,
I
you got
think-
that. Oh, right. So
Well, I think the contact got me an appointment with an executive on the 65th floor, and so I am expected. I'm in their database, and Riser is on record as my bodyguard. I am supposed to be a minor executive in a subsidiary of some other company that.
does she,
is-
for some reason, owe you a favor? Or why would she do? Would she do this for free, or is she going to need something from you?
This might be something that I need to pay her for.
Yeah, because unless there's a reason, I'm gonna say that she's gonna be pushing for the equivalent of a cred. So either she's gonna be calling in for a favor later, or she needs like a couple 1,000 or so. I can't remember what currency we went with. Credits. I think we went with credits. Yeah, so she's gonna want a little bit of an injection of credits for the trouble.
All right, yeah, I'll send her some credits.
All right, so that's gonna end up being 1 cred.
Assistant. Okay, I just adjusted my cred on my character sheet.
Did
I
you also,
realized
by
I
the
hadn't
way,
done that
yeah? Did you also
for
take
my
away,
wager.
Yes. So anyone who put stake, make sure you've taken your stake out of your cred count. Which means I think both of you should be down 2.
I have 3.
Okay. Why can't I find the window I'm looking for? Ugh. Right. Oh, there it is.
So we also need to get some jumpsuits to like for an escape, like fly suit.
I'm not sure if that makes sense because I don't think we can get that from my phone call.
Yeah.
Once you get
So-
gear.
I mean, to be fair, we don't have time for anything if we're.
Well, you said she had like a key card or something. Like maybe she's there to give you a key card and passes you off like a bag or something.
I mean, EDC, knowing the plan, they might have actually planned for this and had something in the vehicle when it picked you up.
Okay.
Already. So
We didn't get a
assuming-
gear from your role, so like, mechanically.
All right, it could be intel or gear, but I guess we have so much intel already that gear makes much of the sense. Okay, so I'm just going to take gear from hitting the streets, and we can figure out what that is later.
Okay. And likely it ends up being these wingsuits, but okay. It might
Right.
not.
So-
choose gear.
I think the plan for equipment and what we're carrying is I'm giving everything to Riser because I am in a nice business suit and not carrying any weapons.
Yeah, that
So
is
he-
my next question. Is how are you geared up?
So, the only visible weapons that'll be obvious on me are a silent machine pistol and a simple sword, and everything else is like either subtle or a piece of wire that I wear on my clothes or something.
Okay.
All right, so I'm giving you my silenced machine pistol to add to your own, just to carry it past the receptionist.
Right.
Okay, so you
Um,
have, and what are you wearing? So Riser, you're going in as a bodyguard, so you probably it's not so weird that that you look however you look. So are you wearing your body armor?
I would.
Okay, and Mei Ling, are you also wearing body armor or not?
No, I am not wearing any armor.
Okay, so on you, the only thing you have is your discreet weapon. You don't have any other gear.
Right,
Well, no,
yeah.
And then Riser.
No,
Oh,
so-
I should
On me, the only thing I have is my implants. So
Exactly.
I've left my well, maybe. So if we're gonna have like a bag for the wingsuit, maybe I can have my armor and assault rifle in there.
Okay.
So yeah, we've Riser's carrying a big bag that has all my gear in it, along with the gear,
Got it.
which will probably turn out to be wingsuits.
And so he's carrying that bag. He's also got he's got body armor on. He's got 2 machine guns visible, and a pistol visible.
2 machine pistols.
2 machine pistols. Okay. Okay.
And his sword.
All right. And you
There's
plan.
a third wingsuit for Whisper, right?
Yeah,
I may
I
not
think-
have to be there. I don't know.
I mean, wingsuits are low tech enough to where you can get 3 or 4 for 1 gear, so that won't be a problem. We'll be sure that we have enough for
Alright.
everybody. Unless they explicitly say, sorry, just enough for you 2. Alright,
I guess
so
that works too.
So, Trashman Whisper, well, Trashman specifically, you get the message that 45 minutes en route. So, Riser and Mei Ling, you've got your plan, right? You plan on just going into the building, going into the lobby, saying you have a meeting, and trying to get on the just getting past the receptionist and figuring out from there what to do. That's your plan?
Yep.
Yeah, so I want to tell Trashman to see if he can arrange for the elevators to be free for us.
So,
I
Trashman,
don't
what
know
you do,
whether that would
you get
actually
an
need
anonymous-
anything since I am in the database.
Trashman, you do get an anonymous message pop up that you then recognize as one of the members of the team being assigned as support, and it's basically saying that they yeah, like you said, they're working on needing access to the elevator potentially.
Okay, so I want to gain control over the elevators and also the 97th floor stairwell. Or I guess Whisper could just go down and meet with these 2 guys, but it would be cool if they could both kind of enter at the same time.
I would suggest that we not go to the 97th floor itself, but to the 96th, where the security is a little lighter.
Did I find a way up on my schematics?
The
Well, I think
96th
for-
floor is pretty much physically separated from the other floors. So there's no, other than the stairway and the elevator, there's no obvious way up or down.
Right, but I think the idea is that 96 may be close enough to wirelessly connect you to the 97th.
No, it's not. It has to be a physical input with our piggyback.
Oh, do we know that already?
That was probably something EDC would have told you, but yeah. Or maybe that Trashman would have already told you and I left out.
You were thinking maybe if you got close enough, you might be able to actually wirelessly connect, but you also, looking at the plans and looking at how they've isolated it, you've got kind of a gut feeling that, like you said, you probably have to hardwire. But until you're there, you're not going to know that for sure, because the details you found kind of, for some reason, are not as clear as you would have expected them to be.
Okay. 97th sounds doable then.
So I want to gain control over the elevator and the door, so they can kind of sandwich them. Are they on opposite sides of the room?
I mean, this is a very abstract thing. You can almost be in 2 different places you can just cycle between them and be there almost
No,
immediately.
not in the Matrix. I mean physically,
Oh.
the elevator door and the fire escape door. When they enter, will they be
Oh.
able to like
There's
sandwich?
no. The fire escape is so once you get onto the floor, different floors are subdivided in different ways. But the elevator actually goes into almost like a little lobby area, and then that has its own an entrance that leads into a few different areas. Like straight ahead, it's more of a work center. There's a server rooms. There's a few clusters that you think are used for server rooms, but there's also some offices on this floor, and to the right there's also the security, the whole security area, which is actually right next to the fire entrance. But the fire, so if you imagine that it's a north, south, east, west type building, the far south end has the elevator going up the length of it. The east side is where the fire entry, the stairway comes in.
Okay.
And they're kind of separated. Like the fire entry goes past the security area and over, whereas the elevator goes through a lobby straight into the center area, which then is like a hub into the other sections.
Okay, so I'm going to inform them of the schematics. And once I get them in, they should meet the other operative by the security room, and it'll be on the east. And that they should take care of them first before hardwiring me in. And I'll go ahead and make my rolls for gaining control over these systems. I think is it synth for both of those?
So yes, you are trying to manipulate systems wait, let me think. Compromise the subsystem security or manipulate a digitally controlled aspect? Yeah, it would be manipulate systems, so synth.
Okay, so this one's going to be for the elevator. I don't think I have any forward. An 8.
Okay, so you have a
So
one.
that will give you one hold. You could spend your console cowboy hold to increase that.
Right.
It would only increase it to a 9, though, right?
No, it would
No,
increase.
it increases the hold that you get from the move.
So instead of one hold, you get 2 holds.
Okay. And I can use those holds to do what exactly? I'm trying to find it on the manual.
Basically, activate routines on the subsystem. So whatever the subsystem is, and in this case, the subsystem will be. Let me find the section of
Elevator.
the manual to point out for you. If you go to, like 155 is where he said it was before. Yeah. So if you go to the page 152, and 153, it starts in the subsystems. There's like login gates and building security nodes.
Okay, yeah.
And this would be mostly the building security nodes. And the routines, basically that lets you activate or deactivate any routine, and the routines would be things like monitor, record, subvert, or loop camera network, physical alarms, electronically locked doors, override or modify the targeting priorities of automated weapon systems, lockdown, activate and cancel lockdown of an entire physical facility, or activate or deactivate electronically controlled traps, things like that. And then also alerts. So trigger or cancel alerts and activate or deactivate ICE.
Okay. On my schematics, do I see any sort of automated weapons?
So hold on. Say that again. I heard. Do I see any sort of, and then a lot of static.
Sorry. Do I see any sort of automated weapons or like turrets or anything?
In the details that you have, no. And in fact, you don't really have details on. You have floor details, and from what you see, there's places there could be weapons, but you don't really know one way or the other. Like you realize that there's probably the strike team simply because of the way they labeled it and the fact that they assigned a large section to an armory and a large section to something that looks like it could be a security checkpoint, but you can't tell with the automated defense stuff.
Okay. I'm gonna use console cowboy to get 2 holds on this one, and then should I roll another synth for the door?
So are you trying to actually disable it right now?
I'm guessing I would just be doing it like as they were getting ready to to go in. I would probably wait a little bit for whispers, but I didn't know if you wanted me to handle it right now.
Up to you.
I don't
mean,
know. I don't know if gaining control over it right now would like have any sort of consequences. I just kind of figured why not.
Well, basically, you're going to activate or deactivate it. So gaining control might actually, if you want full control that you keep, you might have to actually do something more intensive. Like that might be a full compromise security on that subsystem to gain control.
Okay. I think it would. It'd be best to just wait until right before Whisper's going to go in.
That would be my suggestion.
Okay.
So one of your Consulcalibur holds is now a hold on on manipulate systems here. Okay. And then you have another hold that you got.
Just for like a general security.
Right. Both of these are manipulate systems.
Okay.
In this security node.
Right.
Okay. 1 second. Okay. So let's think about that. So you are in position to do that. You will be able to open it, but now you guys are basically in a holding pattern waiting for your support to arrive. Is that true, or do you want to do anything while they're still en route?
I'm good for now. I think, unless anyone has any other suggestions, since I don't know what I'm doing, obviously.
Your legs are starting to fall asleep. You're at risk of getting a
Yeah, I have like the like dead legs. I'm gonna stand up and fall over and not be able to escape.
Yeah. That's prepping for your failure roll next time for act under pressure. So
My legs are shaking going up the stairs.
Yeah. So Whisper, what are you doing? So after knowing that you need to wait and you were at the 97th floor, what have you been doing and what are you doing until they arrive?
I guess I'm gonna make sure the security on the first floor for the fire exit is completely disabled. And then after spending all my hold, apparently I get an intel that I might use in the reception.
Okay. So your hold, you fully disable that alarm, so you now know that you can freely use that fire door at the base without any alarms going off. So that hold is gone. And you have intel, so let's...
Right, so now I'll just have to wait for the killers to come in, and I'll try to deal with the reception using the intel.
Right, where are you waiting? You're going to
I
reception?
guess just inside the fire exit, just wait for them
Okay,
hiding
so you
in
go
there.
back down to the first floor? Alright. You are going to be exhausted. You'll sleep well tonight.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think you should have stayed
Take
up
your
at the
time.
top. I think you should stay at the top of the top floor and not use your covert entry on that, because we're not going to take the stairs unless things go really badly.
Oh.
And I don't think running up
Just in
97 floors is going to be a...
I already have control over the elevator for those guys.
I have
Oh.
synthetic muscles. I don't give a shit. I can run around.
Okay, so do you stay on the 97th or do you come back down and disable that?
Well, I guess in that case, I'll just wait for it in 97.
Maybe you could use your covert entry on one of the neighboring floors to scout things out.
I'm not sure if I want to do that.
It might be necessary on the inside for like a security door or an inside door to get into the server room.
Or an extra trap or guard or something just inside could be useful.
Yeah, I'll just stand by then on the 97th floor.
So you guys are waiting. Mei Ling, Riser, you are in the vehicle. What is this vehicle? What do you think EDC sent you? You have a driver,
It's
you have
a
someone who's
A
actually
nice
driving it, or
taxi,
okay.
With
Sort of- or like
tinted
a-
windows.
right?
So it's ostensibly a taxi, although it's actually an EDC vehicle that they use for this type of thing. But it looks like
Right,
a
it might
taxi.
be like a black car kind of thing, like an Uber or similar. But yeah,
Okay.
just mostly a commercial vehicle, but it's privately controlled by the corp.
Right. Okay. And so there's just someone driving. They're driving you up. You recognize you know where you're going, so you can see that you're going the right way. You've been planning this out as you go, and you've talked through your plan. He pulls up to the front of the TYB building, which I believe was your plan, right?
Is there a separate entrance to get to the office section without going through the retail section?
Not really. I mean, there is an employee entrance around to one side, but it probably requires some credentials or something to get through, like an RFID card or something.
Okay, yeah, I'll just go to the nearest public entrance, wherever like visitors would go, and
right. Yeah, typically that's like people that they invite in, they do receive them through the front. They actually want to fully expose them to all the ads for some reason. So yeah, as they would do for other people, the driver pulls up to the front and you get out along the sidewalk and there's a mass of people going in, but as you walk, people just naturally kind of know to leave you a little space, so it's not difficult at all for you to go in. It's just like an opening just kind of opens for you as you walk, and you enter the main area. Okay. Go ahead and tell me what you do. So my assumption is you're going to go up the escalator to the lobby and to the third floor reception area and then speak with her, but feel free to embellish it however you like.
No, that's the plan, is to go chat with the receptionist. Unless Riser has anything else to do on our way.
I mean, we have a identification. Let's try and use them.
I send them a message and tell them that I'm in the first floor bathroom in the last stall, and they should come check on me since I've been stuck in the Matrix for so long. Make sure no one's like trying to get me or anything.
Or paint a dick on your face.
I'm not sure that's a good idea, because that is not something that we would do if we were really visiting their office.
Well, I mean, you could just stop in for a quick bathroom break, or Riser could, and go into one of the stalls and see if just check it out. I'm getting a little worried because I've been there for so long.
All right, so Mei Ling, Riser, you get out of your car. You're at the curb. You're heading up towards the building, and people are kind of partying as you go. What do you do?
I'm marching right in like I am an important person.
And Riser?
I am being a bodyguard and enforcing her facade of an important person.
Okay. Are you following immediately behind, next to, or in front of?
I don't know, but I'm sure Liza would know what would be appropriate.
Okay, Mei Ling, which would you have him do?
I think he's just behind me, like within arms, a close arm's reach. He's not actually holding on to me, but he's got his hand like 6 inches behind my shoulder.
Okay. So you head in, you find the escalators, you walk straight up, you go enter the reception area. At the front, again, you open it up. It's an open lobby, very kind of small, shallow. There's a wall behind with the TOAB logo and its little blue face, and a woman behind a clear plexiglass display that she's using as her monitor looks up as you enter.
Can I help you?
I'm gonna open up my phone and send my appointment details to her, saying, I believe I'm expected.
Okay, go ahead and see. So you've already had something, you got a contact to give you the details and set that up. She did that. Go ahead and roll a fast talk.
Okay.
With a +1.
Well. That would be 11.
Alright, 11 is pretty good.
I've actually done fast talk.
All right. And okay, so
Yeah, can I have your name?
Yes, I'm Jing Mei. Just a pseudonym that my contact knows me under.
right, so she flicks through, looks at the paper. She goes on the screen, swipes her hand across it a couple times.
Oh yeah, here you are. Okay. Yeah, here's a key card. Pin this to your, well, pin this somewhere visible. I don't know. I'm not gonna. And
So she looks at what you're wearing, isn't really sure if it feels appropriate to just have it pinned on your chest like she would normally have said, but because I don't know. Oh, what are you wearing? Is it more of a business suit or is it more?
Yeah, I'm wearing more of a business suit, not like I am in my picture.
Okay, so it's less.
A little more formal than that.
Got it.
Probably still short skirt, but not quite as much cleavage.
so make this. Just put this on somewhere visible, and looks like normally I would have you wait, but looks like you're to be escorted straight up to the 60th floor. Okay, so if you want to wait, actually,
1 second, let me think about this. So she would have you go straight to the elevator. You're past. I got it.
so yeah, there's go around this corner, back to the elevator. Use your card to scan in front of the button. The button will turn green. Push that, head in, and it'll take you straight to the 60th floor. However, we do ask that you leave any weapons with me. We have a locker here. I can keep them so that they'll remain safe. It's company policy, no weapons past this point.
I can afford to stay with only hidden weapons, so should we just give the weapons?
Why don't you give the overt weapons to her, and keep the ones that are in the bag?
Are you telling him this?
No, like I'm saying, like what I'm thinking, because like how would we get them out, right? Like we're not gonna leave through the entrance.
That's true.
So she's
Well, we
watching
haven't
you as
decided for
you
sure whether
you give him a
Alright,
glance.
I have an idea. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom, check on Tashman and leave the weapons with him.
Okay.
That's what we all did last time.
So you just turn around and walk out as she tells you to leave the weapons? Is
Yep.
that okay? So she watches you as you leave and has a puzzled expression on her face, and she slides her fingers across the screen. You can't really see what's on it. It's only visible from the other side, even though it's clear and you can see straight through to her. You can't really see what she sees on the screen, but she's just tapping around on it, and she
Okay, I
says-
want to say, hang on, my bodyguard is very cautious about his weapons. He'll be back in just a moment. He wants to secure them in our car.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
gonna
So-
tap my ear to fake that I'm having communications with him through a cybercom that doesn't actually exist.
All right, if you could just wait right over there in that corner for him to get back, that'll be fine. Thank you.
Sure.
And she kind of gestures to the side of the room. And at first, she seemed pretty nervous about that, but then just your explanation that he was just taking him back to the car appeased that a bit. So
Okay. If she was going to be really anxious about it, I was going to bust out my serious badass move and try and freeze her in place.
yeah, your fast talk basically carried through, and you were convincing enough, and that roll was high enough that she, even though she was a little alert that happened, especially considering they're sort of on a semi-alert at this point because of some things that were happening earlier in the day, you don't feel like she's acting. She goes back to whatever she was doing before, and she doesn't seem like she's nervous.
All right. So I'm going to pull out my phone and send Riser a text message to keep the bag of gear and my stuff in it and leave the guns with the car.
Okay. Riser, what do you do?
Yeah, I was thinking go out of view and then visit the toilets and deposit the stuff with trash man.
Okay.
Is that like a no-go? Like, is it too visible?
Well, as you're going towards the bathroom, you do see that just from your own training, you recognize that they're not obvious, they're kind of being discreet, but there are security positioned at various places and roaming through the crowd, and occasionally they're reaching to their ears and they're speaking into some subdermal comms. You basically can tell that either this is typical and they always have like a little bit of a heightened security, or they're a little on alert. So there is some presence. You feel like you might be able to do this in a way that seems natural, but it also, like, there's some risk of attracting a little bit of notice, like going into a bathroom heavily armed.
Well, really, there's no big urgency for it to stay in the building. I couldn't just put them in the car.
He is waiting for
Yeah,
you. He let you know.
I figure
that-
our driver is like circling the block.
Yeah, he let you know that he would be available. He was going to pull forward to a waiting area, and he can be at the front within a minute at any point in time.
So yeah, I'll put the machine pistols and the obvious sword in the with the driver. Just to be sure, like, is Trashman fine in the bathrooms?
I don't know
Maybe
how.
you could check him on the way back. Although I don't know that we need to have that be a thing unless we start failing rolls that he gets in trouble there.
It's been like an hour and a half. I don't know. Just making sure.
And I think you can also like jack yourself out if you need to and go back in later. You need to do physical stuff in the meantime.
That's a good point.
I didn't know if I would lose my security to the area if I did that.
I don't know.
You probably will. Once you disconnect, you'd have to re-log in.
So yeah, I'll just do a check in the toilet and leave and go back.
So you head out. So you head out to the car, drop the weapons. You notice the casual scrutiny as you're going past various security. You kind of take note of where they are and what their patrol paths seem to be, and you drop the weapons in. You also inform the driver. He comes around. He meets you in the front. You leave everything that you had seen there. Then you head back in. You go up. As you're getting less scrutiny this time through, although just your presence in general, I think, is probably attracting a little bit of attention. So you still got a little bit of eyes on you, but you head to the bathroom, and it's the bathroom itself seems to be clean. Clear, I should say. Doesn't seem to be any heightened presence there.
Hope the bathroom's clean too.
Yeah, it's pretty clean. It's a retail area, so these bathrooms are pretty clean. Yeah.
Okay, good.
And
So I like wash my hands and leave.
Okay. And then you head back into the reception area. Okay, so Mei Ling, Riser, comes back into the room, and what do you do?
All right, so let's go to the elevator.
All right, so you head around. Go ahead.
Yeah, as we get into the elevator lobby area, I'm going to signal to Trashman, okay, we're at the elevator. I'm about to flash my ID to the sensor.
Okay, so I will activate or deactivate an electronically locked door. I think that falls under the security node and the hold I have over it. Do I just use a hold to do that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, when they go to scan it, I'll give them access to the 97th, and then I will start to gain control over the door for Whisper.
Okay, so basically how that turns out, you head over to the area that controls the elevator and door entry. There's a little, it's almost like an Excel sheet glowing in the air, and it shows a list of expected visitors and locations. And you can actually see that you see her assumed name, which you've been provided, and you see that it blinks for a second as it's being scanned, and it shows that the 60th floor, it's like direct route to 60th floor. So as you know she's going in and recognize that, you kind of swipe over with your finger from the 60 and you just turn that into a 97 as they scan.
Sweet.
Okay, so Mei Ling, you walk up to the elevator. The door has the button is it's not glowing at all. You walk up to it and you hold the key card that they provided you in front of it, and it glows green. And then I'm assuming you just press it with your finger, and the door will open. And
Yeah.
you get on, and I would assume that Trashman told you that it's done, so that you don't have to think about what to do at this point, and you just trust that it's going to go to 97.
Right.
Okay. And that does well, and the elevator starts going up. Let me think about this. So you had a hold that you used, right? And that hold was your manipulate system for the security system. So that hold is gone. You have one hold left in this system, plus your console cowboy hold, correct?
Yeah. So can I use one of those to get the door open for Whisper, or does that take a roll?
So that door is not actually on this subsystem. You look through it and you notice a gap. For some reason, all the floors except 97 are available from the one you did. You were able to get the elevator to go there, but you can't find access to the fire door.
Can I try and find the area where I can access it? Do I know where that would be from here?
Your guess is, because this is part of a isolated system, your guess is that that's controlled from the 97th floor.
Okay. Do I know where the two killers could do that on the 97th floor once they get in? Like, judging from my schematics.
You know a few places that they could probably connect the device. The question is, do they have the device or does Whisper have it?
Whisper has it.
It's a problem.
Now, knowing that that's... Okay, here's what you could do. And you should tell me this, but I'll go ahead and give you a hint, even though I just made it up. I think that between the two, he still has a covert entry, but his covert entry hold won't necessarily work on these biometrics. But you also have a couple... let me think about this. He can basically find a way to, using his covert entry hold, to kind of tie in to the biometric system, which will give him he'll allow him to hardwire that device to the same level that's on. And since that's on the 97th floor and it's tied into that system, that could give you access to both that and possibly some of the deeper aspects of that floor.
Do I think that it'll fry out the piggybacker, though?
You don't know.
Would Intel tell me how many uses this thing might have? I don't know if that's worth it.
I think earlier, let's go ahead and roll an assess on that device. Earlier, when they gave it to you, when they provided it to you, you actually did some deeper checking to see how reliable it would be. So roll an assess roll. 7, 8. So you have a 1 hold. So in assess, you have some questions. I don't know if any of these is going to necessarily count, but are there any questions in that list that would apply to this?
Let me get to it really quick.
Probably what potential complication do I need to be aware of? Would be
Right, I guess that kind of covers it.
Okay, so it looks like this is actually built fairly well. It looks like it holds up, but you notice that there's a back door in it, and you think that it can be remotely destroyed at any point in time.
Okay, so I figured they'll probably let me use it for the mission and then deactivate it.
Right.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I'll let him know that he could try and wire the backdoor device into the door so I could let him in.
Okay. So.
It'll kind of take a little extra on his part somehow.
All right. So Whisper, you're at the door, and Trashman sends you a message letting you know that if you can find a way to wire that device directly into the one of the biometrics on the door, he may be able to gain access and either open the door or possibly have deeper access.
Does he have any instruction on how to do it, or do I have to figure it out?
I'm not sure what the device looks like, but it may just take like, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's kind of up to you how it looks, to be honest.
Yeah. So my point is you'll be able to do it, so you just tell me what it looks like and how it works.
Right, so I try to open some screws loose and try to figure out how the wirings work and try to get a plug out of the piggyback device to hook it up on the system.
Okay. And you're using your covert entry hold. You also will get an intel on using this hold. So you're good with using your hold for this, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you get your covert entry intel, you use the hold to bypass, and this combined with... Alright, so you tie this in to... There's basically a panel you can kind of pull back just enough, and you're able to pull some wires out, and you've done this enough, and you've done enough infiltration that you've got a little bit of electrical engineering knowledge, so you're able to do this without triggering any alarms. And you tie... The device is kind of meant to be tapped onto systems as well, so that there's like two clips that allow you to access a data stream, and it does internal injection through magnetism. So it works, and basically now, Trashman, you can remotely access that device and try to access from there. While they're doing this, Riser, Mei-Ling, you're on a long elevator ride, and you're just continuing to go up and up. You're about floor 40 at this point. Get some nice elevator music.
Yes, elevator music.
Nice.
I assume you're just like putting on the body armor and like lock and loading the assault rifle to these like terrible elevator music.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're prepping.
I mean, we don't have those things.
Oh, I thought you have the bag still. I thought you only put away some of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could get away with it, sure, but like...
I think Mei-Ling's assault rifle is in there. It was just the visible stuff that you put away, I believe.
You could have even put it into the bag, like in the car. Sneak a pistol in there for yourself or something, you know?
I don't really need my pistols, and it seems like terrible security.
Yeah, normally it would have been questioned a lot more, but between Mei-Ling's contact setting this up and her ability to just convince them, she didn't get questioned a whole lot.
Actually, I have an ethical code as one of my directives. Can one of them be being honest, and that's why I left the weapon like that I leave?
Yeah.
You get to choose your
I guess that's kind of like a robotic thing. If you're like a cyborg, just like very straightforward. It kind of makes sense.
Right,
It's funny because I have an ethical code too.
So what is your ethical
That's why
code?
I only have my discrete weapons.
Okay, so... Yeah, what is your ethical code? So I see that you have behavioral, but there's no note of what it is. So it's just honesty?
It's like a sort of code of honor, kind of like chivalry or
So
bushido.
like a warrior
sort of
code
like,
of some sort? And honesty is part of that?
Yeah, it's more about professionalism and stuff. But yeah, it's kind of a like lawful stupid kind of code.
Lawful stupid? Okay. Alright, so... That being the case, so you have left all of the weapons out of the bag. The only thing in the bag at this point is the wingsuits?
Oh, so did you not bring my equipment?
No, I won't make this decision for you. Like, if I wouldn't touch the bag. Just the thing that was on me that I was told to leave behind, I leave behind.
Okay,
Okay.
so you didn't stash it in the bag, you actually left it behind. But you didn't look in the bag or deal with anything in the bag. Okay, so everything's
Right,
in
so
the
the
bag.
pistols and swords got left behind in the car, and still got the
Yes.
rifle and armor. And
Right. So as you're on
suits
the
or whatever.
elevator, are you doing anything about that, or are you leaving them in the bag at this point?
So I was just going to ask that. Are we going to go loud right from the start, or are we going to try and stay quiet for a little longer? I don't know
We
that.
should try and stay quiet. Like, we
I don't know
really
that staying
what's in-
quiet is going to work very long. And I think it's going to be like 30 seconds at best.
What have we done so far that would raise alarms? Like, us being on
Showing
that
up on the
floor,
97th floor. I think
is
showing
that
up
enough?
is going to like set off all the alarms as soon as the elevator door opens.
Is that the case? Do we know that?
We'll just keep waiting it.
I don't know if you guys would know or if Trashman would tell you, but he's got it covered. I have one extra hold that I can use for the alarms. Can I ask a question really quick?
Sure.
Can I open Whisper's door, then cut the lights and use the hold to stop the alarm, or like, is that something I need to be all on the same node for, or like different nodes for, or?
You will need to split your attention between where you are in the matrix right now and your remote access to that device. That's going to be a little tricky because you're going to have to go physical and aim so that you can hit the device.
Gotcha.
So that is one downside of that device. You have to actually physically get the thing set up to be in line with it so that you can make the jump.
Okay, so I want to do that basically before those two guys get there, so the door can be open for him and he can be ready.
Okay, so they are heading up the elevator. They're at the floor 30, 35 right now, and they're still going up. So all this has happened very fast. Whisper, you just hooked in the device into the biometrics, and you sent Trashman the message that that's the case. So Trashman, you are currently in the security node. You realized you didn't have access to this. You let Whisper know you got that back. So he's just let you know that it's happened. What are you doing?
If he's all hooked up, I am going to immediately open the door for him, but tell him to wait just a minute, and I'll give him the signal for when the other guys infiltrate, so they can kind of move at the same time. But he'll be, I'll tell him to wait because he'll be right in front of the security, so he should kind of wait for them a little bit.
Okay, so that's your plan. To do that, you're going to have to not necessarily fully jack out, but you're gonna have to jack out in a way that leaves either you're gonna have to fully jack out and lose your current access in the matrix, or you're gonna have to jack out, trying to leave a portion of your attention there, and then disconnect, physically adjust the thing, and connect to that node separately.
Okay, if it makes it
you're
easier
dividing
for
your
me to-
attention, which you'll be able to do, but you're going to be taking some negatives doing that.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a try just to make it easier to get back in. So I'll try and adjust attention to the piggyback device.
Okay. So let me think about that. How is that going to look?
It could be act under pressure.
Yeah. So you try to jack out in a way that kind of leaves part of your attention there, and you physically. Let me think. Will that be act under pressure? I'm going. It's kind of,
Or like play hardball.
well, if anything, it'll be either a matrix move or act under pressure. So I'm trying to. I lost my matrix move sheet. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm just gonna say Act under pressure fits. So do an act under pressure to see how well you're able to split yourself this way.
Nice.
8 partial. Stumble, hesitate, or flinch. The MC will offer you a worse outcome, hard bargain, or ugly choice. Okay. Think. Alright, so go ahead and... Okay. So you try to partially pull yourself out of the matrix where you are. So you leave part of your attention there. You pull out, and you pull out the device. You've got the half of it that's basically a radio transmitter, and it is a directed one. So you've got to figure out how to adjust it, and then reattach that to your cyber deck and attach that way. Go ahead and do that.
Okay. So I just I take it off basically because it's all like mentally connected, and I just I set it kind of like on the bar, kind of like the bar that's next to the stall, and keep angling it until it connects.
Okay. Now, it doesn't take you too much. It's a little hard because you're fairly distracted. Like trying to keep your mind in the matrix while doing this is tricky. You're able to do it. It takes you a little longer than you would have thought. At this point, you guys on the elevator are up to about the 50th floor. And just to be clear, as you're going up the elevator, you're not doing any prep. You're not getting any weapons out. You're just going in as you are, right?
I think I am gonna put on my armor and pull out the assault rifle.
Okay. So as you're going up,
I mean, we're all in communication. We can know what's going on. Like,
Right.
if we're going in hot, we can know that we need to...
yeah, but if you wait until you find out, you're going to be too close to actually be able to do it.
Right.
You got to use the time going
Putting
up
on
to
the
prep,
armor.
and you don't have
So
time
I
to
think
prep.
I'm gonna do that.
Okay. So as you're going up,
I'm saying, like, in the elevator, we can know that we need to go hot. We are in open communication with each other.
well, the elevator is going up, and the door is going to open as soon as you're on that floor. So it's
Right,
not like
and
you
I
can
think
wait.
then we need to know if I'm armored when the door opens.
Yes. And you've
So,
got to make that choice.
I have an
before-
idea though for a way to not immediately start shooting if we don't want to be quite that hot immediately. So I think we're okay being armored and looking scary anyway, even if we want to be a little bit cooler.
So as you're going up, Rise, you throw the bag on the ground. Mei Ling leans down. She unzips it, starts pulling things out, starts getting dressed. And I assume you're giving a little bit of the plan as you go. And whatever your idea is, you probably share that with Riser prior to the door opening.
Right.
Okay, because you won't have much time to actually communicate as you're doing it, probably. So if you're going to tell him anything, you probably want to tell him right now. Like if you have a plan.
Right. So my plan is to claim to be a security inspection for the strike team.
So that'll be his approach. All right.
It might be better to capitalize on the element of surprise.
Well, I'm basically just thinking that we do this like right in the reception room, and that once we're past like the reception area, we might be able to bluff the folks in reception if they're not, armed security themselves.
If you recall, Trashman had told you that he thought he could cut the lights in time, and that's what he was going to try and do. But I don't know if you guys are able to see, or if that would
Yeah.
as well.
Unless we change our mind from the wingsuits not being wingsuits, I think let's not do that.
Okay, so as you're going up,
Yeah.
you're pulling out the armor, putting that on, getting the assault rifle ready, but you're planning on potentially trying to talk your way out of it. You're not necessarily going to shoot as soon as the elevator door opens. Riser expresses some issues with that plan, and you can continue that discussion, but you won't have much time to do it. Trashman, you connect to. It takes you a little bit of time, and you're splitting your effort. You connect to the piggyback node. And it's a very simple connection. What does this node look like?
It's hard for me to visualize these things, I think.
I've got a great idea for you if you're interested.
Yeah, sure.
I think the office building, and so like when you first logged into their main system, it was a giant office building, like 1,000 stories tall. I think your little hacked-in node is a like small, like foot-long UFO that has wedged itself into the side of the building, like 1,000 tall, high. So like most of the way up to the roof, and there's this little disc-shaped UFO just chink into the side of the building.
All right, that sounds good to me.
Well, it's EDC's choice anyway, so that's they're weird. All right, so yep, you beam into that node, and you find yourself, you jump from your cyber deck, you just kind of beam over to that UFO, and you slam into the side of this building, and now as you hit the side of the building, it opens up into an area where you can see. It looks like there's a whole list. There's a book on the right, like a digital book that's kind of sitting there. It's kind of glowing a little bit, and there's an on and off switch, and there's a few other controls in this area, and then you can tell that there's like a wall beyond that. There's some other stuff. So you get the sense that this is kind of controls and database related to the fire door exit. That was where you're.
Okay, so I am going to go up to the controls and just kind of figure out how to work them, and then do what I need to do to let Whisper in, and just kind of like suspend all the biometrics so he can slide in when he needs to.
All right. So your objective is just to disable this door and allow him entry, correct?
Right. I would like to. Basically like to do it just like a second or two, like maybe when they're on like the 93rd floor or something like that.
Okay. So as you are, let's see, this is not the right. Okay. Make a compromised security roll on this node.
And that's synth?
Compromised security is
mine.
Yes, mine.
Seven.
Okay, so you have one hold, which I assume you're going to use to try to trigger the door. Wait a second. Okay, so you're going to need to give one hold to actually identify yourself on the system to be able to use it. So that's what your hold will have to go to.
Okay, can I use another one from Console Cowboy to give me another hold so I can disable it like I need to? That'll be my last one.
How many holds does that give you?
I had 3 from that one, and that would be my last one. Increase your hold of compromised security or manipulated systems by 1.
That was actually in the downstairs, the systems downs below. This system is isolated, so it's not the same thing. You actually probably get more hold on this one.
But it's something that I didn't have to jack into, so it is.
Did you want to do a login for this system?
Yeah, I think we kind of skipped that part because I would have rolled another Console Cowboy, basically, right?
Yeah, so actually the login is what I meant to roll instead of compromised security, which would have been synth. Yeah. Think about that. So, see, that was the mine. Go ahead and roll a login first to see.
Okay.
If you can just easily fake credentials.
An 8.
Okay, so on login, 8 gives you what? You're in, but choose one. Okay, so choose one of those.
What are they?
Oh. Either passive trace, +1 trace, ice is activated, an alert is triggered, or your access is restricted, take a -1 ongoing.
I can afford to take a trace right now. That's not a big deal for me.
Okay. So you've got a +1 trace in this system, and you have no trace yet, right?
Right.
Okay. So you've got a +1 trace on the 97th floor. Now, so this was basically what it took you to jump. You jumped off of the little UFO thing into this node, and you tried not to be noticed. As you do that jump, you're able to get in, but you see a camera, like a virtual camera, kind of flip around and pointing at you. So you've now got this like little hovering camera drone kind of floating and watching.
Can I roll my console cowboy?
Yeah.
I think that virtual camera should be like one of the camera bots from Half-Life 2.
That's my first miss.
Oh, nice. So 4, 6, and that was for Console Cowboy.
Yeah.
What does a miss on Console Cowboy do?
Nothing.
Okay, it just
There's
means
no.
you don't
There's
get
just,
any.
yeah.
Although technically, any failure,
Yeah.
I could make a move, but all right.
Okay.
So actually, as that thing is watching you, you notice a little red light on it pop up, and because you think that you can just swipe it away, you think that you can really quickly just like distract it and make it not notice you as much, and just get the +1 trace and know that they're kind of following up on you. But for whatever reason, and you realize the reason is because you're not thinking quite as strongly as you would. You are partially in this other place. You're still in the other node, and because of that, you're a little slower than you intended to be. And you notice a little red light go off on this thing, and you notice some data packets streaming out of it. The mission clock is going ahead a little bit.
Is ice alerted or anything?
No ice yet that you notice, but you do notice that the node, like the lighting in the node, shifts very subtly. It was a fairly normal light before, but it shifts just a little bit more into the yellow range at this point.
Okay.
And you recognize that as systems going onto a little higher alert and security measures starting to spin up.
Should I roll another compromised security to get the door open then? Since we kind of read at that, or I don't know.
No, the compromised security that you have will still apply, and that was what did that do? That gave you 1 hold, and you use that. So instead of using that hold, let's just say you still have that hold. What do you want to do with that hold?
I need to use it to deactivate the door, right? And let Whisper in.
Yep, if that's what you want to do. So that's what you're doing? With it?
Yeah, I don't know what else I would do with it, to be honest. So.
Okay. So how? Well, all right. So you. All right. You reach your hand over to the book. You flip through the book. You basically skim through it, and you do a few things, and you inject a fake record into it, and then you deactivate the door, but in a way to where you're basically trying to. The door requires multiple triggers that all link together to match that record. So you fake a record, you copy some data from somewhere else, basically null it, and then you match that up with the false records that are coming from these 3 separate biometric devices. So you basically cross-link them, you tie it all to the same null data in the book, and then you feed that in. So all these devices basically send success signals to the doorway and Whisper. You're in front of the door, and then the biometrics just kind of say bing, and they all kind of go with a green glow.
And I'm hopefully doing that when they're on the 93rd floor.
I was about to say, as you're going up on the so back on the elevator. So back on the elevator, you see. What do you see? So as you're going up, the lights are slightly changing. So it was blue, and as you get to about the 60th floor, the light changes from a blue to a little bit more cyan. Not quite yellow, but it changes. And then you're about the 90th floor. Are you just waiting until you hit to 97, or are you going to to do anything between 90 and 97.
No, I'm just ready to head on out as soon as the door opens.
Okay. So
I'm gonna
Whisper,
try and take, like, position myself in a way that there is some cover from the elevator. Like maybe the doors don't open all the way or something.
Okay. So you're kind of off to the
to prepare for a fight, basically.
right. So you're ready to.
I
just
think we
dive
should get the
behind
jump on them. That we should be moving out as fast as we can.
Really?
I may be saying that because I have synthetic nerves and being fast is my thing.
Same here.
Okay, so as you're going up, you get the notice that Whisper has basically got access through the fire emergency door. Are you going to time it to where he goes first, you go first, or you go at the exact same time?
I think we should go first, and then he will have a distraction. He can just, do his thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right, Whisper, you're going along with that as well.
Yep.
Okay. So you're heading up 90, 91, 92. It keeps going. It's an elevator. It's so slow. It starts slowing down. 95, slower. 96, and
Stop talking
it finally gets to 97, and the door slightly slides open. And what happens once you get up there?
After I do that, can I unplug from the piggyback and tell Whisper not to leave it behind, of course, and kind of go back to the security node?
Yes. Yeah, you can log out of that. Okay, so you pull yourself out. You basically just like step back onto the UFO and then slide back, teleport back into your own deck, and then your attention is fully back in, and you drop back into where you were in the other node. You do notice that the systems have something that you did there raised some level of alarm, because you notice more patrols than there were before. And you notice some processes spinning up.
Okay.
So Riser, Mei-Ling, let's see. The door opens up, and you see a room, and it's almost like sterile white. There's a little bit of shadow. There's a little bit of an attempt at furnishing, but it's kind of a lobby, and it's mostly like there's carpet, but it's a very subdued, barely slightly off white, and there's a few. It's sort of like it almost looks like an old Greek style temple type deco for some reason. But there's a few pillars going inward, and then there's a door at the far end. As you walk in, you see recessed areas in the surface that you recognize in the ceiling that you recognize may or may not house some type of automated defense or automated cameras that aren't deployed currently. And there are two men at the end on either side of the doorway with heavy assault rifles that are standing as the door opens and watching you. Their hands, they don't raise them fully, but their hands go to the weapons and they half lift them. What do you do?
So, we abandoned the talking to them plan, or?
I'm gonna come out of the elevator at a run and say, "This is a drill. Follow me."
Roll a fast talk.
That would be an 8. And I would also like to try and stun them into inaction with a serious badass.
Charge situation. I would say it's probably charged as you're running at them. It's a little freaked out. So, okay.
Roll for that. That's a 6. God damn it.
Rollerblade.
Okay, so I think you just totally escalated the situation. Okay, so Riser, I guess you partially expected this because you probably discussed this on the way up, but as I guess
I'm
you,
probably already cutting heads.
yeah, she may have actually changed this plan on the fly as she saw armed guards at the end, but she runs out, yells, "This is a drill," and they look like they want to listen, but they also are like, one, they just see someone charging at the front elevator, so that immediately gets their training involved and they're about to react, and they don't quite seem they aren't immediately shooting you, but they seem very surprised. But then something about the way that she just stares them down, they immediately realize this isn't right, this wasn't expected, this isn't the way we do drills, and they start
Can I
raising their
get them
weapons.
before they get to do anything? Like, I have synthetic nerves. Can I, like, as she runs and they start to react and go for the guns, can I, like, pull my concealed weapon, cut them up?
Yes, you can definitely try to do that. If that's, yeah, that'll definitely be a mix it up roll. And because
I
of your
mix
synth
up with
nerves,
my
you would
synth.
react long before they do.
So I get a +1 for my synthetic nerves. And I roll with my synth because of my muscle.
Okay.
Okay.
11, 12, 13, 14. Wow.
And also, as far as damage is concerned, my weapon does 3 harm on its base, and I add to that +1 for my muscle graft and another +1 because I'm really sick. So
Okay,
5.
so you are doing this meleeing. You are also charging this room, and you can tell pretty much immediately that they start raising their weapons. They just recognize you as something to be stopped at this point. What are you doing, calling that up? And you feel Riser behind you start charging out as it's happening. What are you
So
doing?
I'm gonna take cover and let Riser do his thing.
Okay, so you're gonna dive to the side. You could also do a help out or link help if you wanted to.
I don't need help.
No.
Yeah, he already nailed his roll.
Yeah. But ignoring knowing what the role is that meleeing would just jump out of the way and let him handle it.
I think in this case, when they're all focused on attacking me, I want to preserve my health for the next set of bad guys.
Okay, so you dive to the side. There's some pillars that you think you can probably get cover behind. You don't know how solid they are. They might just like bullets could go through them like styrofoam. You don't know yet. But you dive over to the side behind one of those, and Riser, you yeah. So what is your weapon stats again?
So I think
broadcaster.
maybe more prudent because there are a bunch of people. I'll take them out of that area. It's,
Wait, you count as a small gang? Is that
Yep.
okay? So that gives you
So
a
I use
+1.
my silver lining. It's a small chain weapon. It does 1 damage +1 from being high powered. So 2, and add to that another 2 for my synthetic muscle grafts and mirror spec. So 4 damage and it's area.
So 4 harm. What other attributes?
Area and numerous.
Okay. And what are you using again?
It's a small like future garage wire basically. It's like a small.
If you have it on your character sheet, click the broadcast. Show all the things you filled in for it.
All right, wait.
Ah, there we go.
Oh no, that's the wrong one.
Okay, so chain or wire? What is... Okay, so you're going to basically take out... Let me think about this. So they have... what you're doing... 4 harm area... Are you attacking both guards?
Yep.
All right. These do not have armor. They have heavy assault rifles, but they weren't really prepared for a direct assault exactly. So there's no armor. You are going to do enough damage to take both of them out. So describe what this looks like.
I think they turn to melee and they start to go for the weapon, and then almost imperceptible silver line wraps around their neck and their neck falls.
Okay. Alright, so Maylin, you dive behind the pole and you just hear thump thump as both bodies drop to the ground. Whisper, what are you doing while this is happening?
I'm using the situation as an opportunity, as a distraction. I'm gonna start trying to hack into one of the computers that's available. I imagine the employees have run off or are in panic.
Not yet, because this has been so sudden that nothing has been triggered yet, no alarms.
Oh, is there an available computer that I could sit in? Desk.
So, did you go through the door first, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, so you went through the door. As you go through the door, you are passing the security, like the first thing that you see is a hallway, and on the left side there's a doorway that has basically a room that houses security forces. And you recognize that because there's one person standing outside of it. He is just leaving and turning left down the hallway as you open the door, and as you're coming through, you see him starting to walk away from you. But then you can see his step kind of half pause as you recognize he's probably hearing a click of the door that you just came through, and you feel like he's about to turn to see what the sound was.
I'll turn away and walk away confidently, trying to avoid his notice.
Okay, so you're heading straight back into the stairway?
Oh, there are no other areas that I can turn in the hall?
No, it's basically the door, a hallway that you're in. In the very first doorway is the one on the left where he is, and then further down you see other stairway. The hallway ends, it goes around the corner, and there's one other door further up to the right. But the only way is either forward through him or back through the door you just came through.
I guess it's a shoot him then.
Okay. Let me think about that. Let's see.
He's the only one there, right?
He's the only one you see. You don't know what's in the room. You're too far to actually see into the room. So you just recognize him coming out of it, turning the other way. And from the schematics you got, you know that was the security room. So he was one of those. That would, I guess, be mix it up as well. Okay. And what are the stats on the weapon you're using?
Using a silent semi-automatic pistol.
Did you have it out as you came through the door, or do you have to pull it out?
It's quick, so I can pull it out quick.
Okay. 2 harm, close, quick. But, oh, and not loud. Okay, good. So it's semi-auto. Alright, so describe that.
Well, as I said something, he was about to reply, but it was a bit too late for him to say his last few words, and I just popped him in the head.
Okay. Yep, he starts to say something, and you reply, and you can tell he's not, so you just lift the gun, fire, and he just hits him in the forehead. A little burst of red appears on his forehead, and he just drops to the ground. You hear movement in the room to the left.
I'll hide my pistol, and I'll walk in the room and say we're under attack.
Okay. As you walk in the room, you see about 4 guards at different points around the room. It's fairly large. It's like 20 by 30-ish room with some lockers along some sides, and in the middle, an armor. Like there's a door to an armory behind that's got a some more biometrics on it, and yeah, there's 4 people in this room. And you walk in and try to roll a fast talk.
A lot. Seven.
Okay. The as the guy dropped and you run in and say we're under attack, you see that one of them was already reporting in. He was reporting that there was he was reporting a man down, and he was reporting location. You run in and he says he looks up, and they all nod and they start heading towards the door and past you. Yeah, so they head through and past you. One of them stops to try to assess the man on the ground to see if he's okay, and the other 3 head out. Riser.
Can I pop in and do something really quick as
Yes.
Hackerman?
Yep.
I would like to just quickly use my last hold over the elevator to shut it down.
Okay.
So that currently anyone trying to get up and help is going to have to come through the stairwell. And I'll see if I can work on that in a minute, but I don't want to interrupt anyone anymore.
Okay. So yes, you do that. You recognize the node that controls the elevator. It's very close to where that biometrics that you dealt with before. Plus, you already had entered the details of the biometrics. So you just move to that subsystem and you disable it. You basically lock it down.
Am I still partially in the piggyback node? Or no, he unplugged it when he moved in, huh?
Yeah, it's not connected right now, and you fully eject out of it.
Okay, so
luckily the elevator is on the system that you're on, so you're able to do that.
Are there any cameras in the stairway or anything?
In the fire, no.
Okay, so I'm just going to tell them that the only way that that more reinforcements can come in is through the stairwell. I can't do anything about it at this point.
Okay. So Riser, Mei Ling, you just took down. Well, Mei Ling, you watched as Riser took down the 2 that were in there, and as they drop to the ground, you hear the static click from one of their radios. That it sounds like as you had come in, one of them was able to actually get a query across that never got responded to. So they're calling in for that unit to please respond, please repeat, and they're not getting any response now. So they were actively in communication with him and realizing that he's not responding. And then as you are moving closer to detail that, you hear another call that there's a man down. Do either of you have cyber ears?
No.
Nope.
Okay. So yeah, right now though, his comm thing had fallen out of one of their comm. They have basically essentially the equivalent of Bluetooth headsets, and the earpiece had come out, and it was set loud enough to where you're able to pick up the gist of what they're saying.
I think let's rush them. Let's go. Let's seize the initiative, Hill.
Yeah, sounds good to me. So we know that the direction the security forces were in from the elevator, right?
Yeah, you're coming in, if you kind of picture a square, and you're coming in from the south side of the square. The security room is kind of on the east side, so they had just come out of the hallway and were running west. I don't know if you're aware of where they are right now. I think they just ran out of the room, the 3 of them ran out of the room, but you do know that they would be coming from the west towards the central area, entering through the central hub, they would be coming south into the lobby where you are, through the door that's there.
I will try to get to them at some narrow point, like a bottleneck or something.
Yeah, is there a good so do they have to like come around a corner to get into the lobby?
You can't tell what's on the other side of the end of the lobby. It's a door. It's a security door, and you can't really tell what's on the other side of it. It's got something that looks like glass, but it's opaque from the side, so you don't know if it's a two-way thing or if it's just a painted panel.
I say like we rise to meet them, and the point is to make it so that we meet at some narrow corridors.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's see if we can get through the security door.
Is it
Is
locked?
it-
It is locked. It's got a scanner over in front of it, and it doesn't immediately open.
I check the buddies for a security key or something.
Yeah, and patting him down in one of the front areas of it, he has like a front pocket that has a key card in it well, he has a card in it.
There we go.
And you use that and you slide it in front of the scanner and it beeps green, you hear a boom, and the door slides to the side. Inside you see kind of an open hub. There's hallways leading pretty much every direction. Not hallways, so there's narrow halls, but also some recesses where there's rooms set in different locations, and then the central area is kind of like a semicircular, like more of a rounded rectangle type hub. And you hear some running coming from the right to your right. You hear a lot of heavy footfalls. The room.
So can we be like in a side room and then kind of ambush them or something?
You can try to get to one of the side rooms that you see. There's doorways all over the place, but you have to go through kind of the central room to get to any of them. So if you're fast enough, you might be able to. You can't tell how far they are because of the way the echoing is happening.
So in this central room, is there any good cover?
There are some
Like-
furniture laid out. There's some plants, but there's not really good cover. There's concealment, but not necessarily cover.
All right, I'll just duck behind a table or something or a desk.
Okay.
So I'm just
So-
not immediately visible when they come out the hallway.
There's a large
I
couch
do it.
sort of near where you are. You can duck behind pretty effectively.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I would try to advance to like a side room and try to flank them.
All right. With your synth nerves, you're able to move pretty quick to jump towards one of those areas. So you dive through the room to the. Are you going to go straight across, to the left, or to the right?
Does it matter?
Well, to the right's where the noise is coming from, so you probably don't want to. Straight across is a little further. Left is closest, so my guess is you would go left.
Yeah, I don't want to face them head on. I want to kind of let them
Right.
go into the lobby and we do a pincer.
So left is away from them, and the first door that you come to opens into kind of an office area. You barge through the door because you were moving fast, and you just like hit the door. It slams in, hits the back wall, and then there's like three guys in the room in just opposite barrel. Like one of them's wearing a suit, two of them are wearing button-up shirt, and they jump as you come in. What do you do? Like they jump and turn and look really surprised.
Stay down and live to walk another day.
Okay. Is that what would you do if they didn't stay down?
I'll kill them.
Okay, so roll a play hardball.
So that's edge, right?
That is edge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I get some folds because they're just walkers or something?
Wait, say that again. Can you get what?
Can I get some +1 or something because they're just walkers and non-combatant?
Oh, just make the roll and we'll see. that makes sense. They're not going to fight back, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they couldn't follow up in some other way.
Alright, so no bonuses.
Right.
It may just affect what fictional consequences a 7 to 9 would have.
But 7 and 9 don't actually matter. Okay, as you jump in,
6.
as you jump in, two of them just look like they're conceding and they're fine. They're like, oh, they're just like, don't shoot, don't kill me. But one of them actually dives to the side and slaps his hand under a desk, and you hear an audible alert rise for a second.
I take
Trash
that.
Man, you notice that in one of the you notice like a red icon just suddenly appear in. Wait, where are you? No, you don't, because you're not up there. Actually, you do. So you do notice a red alert. It's not necessarily local, but that system must somehow, the alert system must be tied to where it can get external alerts out. So you notice a red icon and an alert start being processed.
Is there a way for me to cancel it?
You have a console cowboy hold. Are you able to do anything with that?
It was in this node. I can cancel an alert.
You can cancel an alert.
Yeah, one of the console cowboy things is
Prevent it.
prevent construct from triggering an alert.
Yes. So I'm gonna say that you could use that to cancel this.
Okay, that's my last one.
It's not necessarily going to cancel the alert on the floor, but it will at least cancel the external request. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Alright, so you've used that hold. Your console cowboy is now... You don't have any of those holds left. Alright, Riser, what do you do?
I'll kill the one that pushed the alarm.
Alright, describe that. So he just dived over, he pushed under the desk, and he's kind of half prone on the ground.
I go. There is a necklace on my neck. It's a strange alloy. It's in the shape of a capsule or something. I seize it in my hand and it extends into a sword, then I chop his head off.
And the other two just scream, and they start freaking out, but they're not actively doing anything. So they're just like backed into a corner, kind of just totally panicking. Mei Ling, what are you doing?
I am waiting for the guards to come, and I am
Okay.
intending to pop out and shoot them as soon as they do.
All right. So you're behind the couch, concealed somewhat. As you're in there, and you hear Riser rush past and behind you, you hear an alarm start sounding on the floor. Whisper, what are you doing?
Am I in the clear, or have the guards that ran past me?
They ran past you, and they were running down the hall to the left, and there was one. The fourth one was actually leaned down over the person you shot in the head, and he was checking his pulse at this point.
I'm gonna shoot that one too.
Okay. Now this one was the four that just ran out were armored, but since he's not paying any attention to you, you have no problem just putting a gun at the base of his neck and just pulling the trigger. So you do that, and he drops pretty much immediately. You don't even have to roll for that because he wasn't even aware of you. All right.
Right, so I'm gonna start making my way to the offices, wherever a terminal could be available for me to hack to get like Trash Man into the Matrix.
Okay. So going out the door, the three that you saw run down, you see their backs as they're heading towards the central hub, and to the right you see a doorway that opens up. As you go down the hallway and look through the doorway, you see that this doorway has it's a dark room with tons of lights inside of it, and you pretty much can make the assumption that this is probably a server room.
Right, so I'll go to the server room and try to jack in the piggyback node.
And of course the door is locked. It doesn't
Of
immediately
course
open.
it is. Is the door like something I could shoot open?
You could try.
Alright, I'll try just that.
Okay, roll an act under
Two
pressure.
bodies of cops with maybe keys.
Actually, I'll inspect the 2 dead guards that I've killed for
A voice
anything,
from
any
the
key
ether
card.
reminds you not to just start blowing things up. Okay.
Trying to be quick, but I guess.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll an act under pressure to see how quick you can do that. Nine? Okay. So 9, act under pressure. You stumble, hesitate, or flinch. Okay, so you actually head out. You should have probably, you realize in hindsight that you should have done this before you left, but you shoot the guy, you head down, you see the door, you pull out your gun, getting ready to shoot it, and you realize there's probably an easier way. You head back, you grab the, you pat down the bodies, you find a card, and you bring it over and slide it in front of the door, and the handle actually just, and it opens, but it took you a bit of time to do that, a little more than you thought it would have taken you. Trash man, what are you doing right now?
I think I'm just waiting still.
Okay, so you got nothing to do until you get access to a node. Got it. Riser.
Maybe like try and access service nodes, but I wouldn't be able to stay in that for very long. I would just be watching for anyone coming up to ambush them or what have you.
So yeah, unless you have a clever idea for something I'm not thinking of, yeah, I think you just wait. So let me know if you do think of something that would be cool, but otherwise...
I'm all good for now.
Okay. So, Riser.
I think maybe if I could just make a roll to access the service node right now, just in case, that might not be awful.
It might not be. It might be a better idea not to roll because that can advance the clock if you fail.
Good point. All right, I'll just wait.
Okay.
I'm hacking extra stuff and advancing clocks can be fun, but
Yes. For me.
there's fun, and then there's like the fun with exclamation points around it from Dwarf Fortress, where everything's on fire.
Right. Alright, Riser, Mei Ling, what are you guys doing? So you're still hanging out. Riser, you've done that. Okay, so then I'm moving. So it's only been a couple seconds, and Mei Ling, you hear the footsteps coming up the hallway get louder, and then while you can't see the door, you're basing off the reflections of sound, and you can tell that there are several people that have just run into this hub area, and they are running towards the... It seems like they're running towards the left side of the room, maybe towards where the lobby is.
All right, I'm gonna pop up and start shooting at them with my assault rifle.
Alright, so there's 3 of them. I'm gonna say that's probably a small gang. Roll, mix it up.
All right.
Do you have synth nerves?
I do have synth nerves. Did they have synth nerves?
No.
Okay, so I will get +1 forward. So that's a 9.
Okay, are you doing auto fire?
Yes.
Okay, so then that's going to potentially spread between all of them, and that does how much? 3 harm.
3 harm.
Alright, and you recognize that they do have light armor on, but as you open up, they're a small gang, so that's actually -1, so 2 harm. Okay, so you open up, you just like spray the area where they are, and you end up shredding the armor of one of them, and he drops immediately as he's coming into the room. The other 2 recognize you, see you. They beat in on you, and they start shifting their attention your direction, and they move to flank on either side of where you are. Riser, what are you doing?
So, I'm not sure what rolls I'll need to do to make it happen, but I'm trying to make the 2 surviving walkers charge at the security guards, like with my swords at their back, at the edge of the sword, force them to do.
Roll a play hard. What are you gonna do if they don't do it?
I'll kill them.
Okay.
Kill them like I killed their friend. I basically want to mix it up, but make them cover my advance. Kind of like.
Well, roll a play hardball to see if you can get them to do that. I'm assuming you can either be telling them, okay, I need you to rush these security guards, or I'm going to kill you, or you can tell them to run for the door and just freak them out, which is probably more effective. Because I don't think they're just going to run straight at the security guards into danger, but they are going to try to run out and escape, which happens to be where the security guards are, so you can probably convince them.
Yeah. If that works, then yeah. But the point is, I don't want them to be there to push more alarms.
Right. Okay, well,
if I can make, the point is, I want them to run into the shooting.
Yep. So roll a play hardball. Okay. So yeah, they are totally panicked, and as soon as you give them what looks like an exit strategy, they just follow up on that. So they head out of the room. You follow immediately behind them, and they're going to do exactly what you wanted. They're going to run straight at the security guards because they see them as a both an area of escape and a source of safety and security. So they'll do just what you want. So go ahead and follow up that up.
I'm gonna rush right behind them and like engage in a melee.
Okay. So for you, roll a mix it up and mailing. I would say that, are you going to be doing something as he's coming in, taking advantage of this that you could do like a help with, or?
I think so. I have a one of my directives is my code is to not involve non-security personnel in violence. So I am not going to be shooting near the office workers. So I'm going to drop my rifle and spring out my blades on my arms and go engage the other guard. So I don't know if that's a help or a separate move.
At this point, this would be a help. So Riser, you're getting a +2 on your roll from.
Should I roll for the links?
Yeah, go ahead and roll link. But so let me think. You're getting a +1.
You're getting a +1. We all mark experience because we have access to the 97th.
Once we get access to the server room, yep. Which you are just about to get access to. So, so for one, yeah, mailing mark experience for that.
Okay.
Riser, you are getting a +1 from having these guys involved. They're kind of keeping you from. They're distracting the guards, keeping them from having clear shots, and then also, if mailing does a help out, you'll maybe get this plus, and both of you will be involved in the attack.
I also have synthetic nerves.
Yes, so get the other +1 from synthetic nerves. So roll and mix it up with a +2. Well, actually, mailing first roll help.
Okay. I thought I just did that. Doesn't seem to have gone through.
I see a behavioral, but I don't see a...
Let me try it again. There it goes.
Ah.
Oh, that's a failure.
5, okay. Alright,
So I got a -2?
No, you don't get any minus, you just don't get the +1, and they're going to not be very happy with mailing if they survive you, of course. And then I'm going to say that her attack she doesn't have a chance to actually add into the attack. So if it had been a 7 or above, I would have said both of you get harm, but since she got nothing on the link, Riser, go ahead and attack. Or make your roll and describe your attack.
So I'm gonna go again with the chain and try to hit the whole area. And what do I do with my roll? I just add +2, or?
So your chain is that's area, right? And messy?
It's area. It's not messy.
Not messy. Okay. So, but it is area. Okay. And you are attacking the security guards, but they're also. This is exactly where those 2 civilians were running, right? So they're going to be probably in the area as well.
doesn't concern me too much.
Okay. All right. And Mei Ling is not going to be in the area simply because she's still kind of behind cover and a little further out from that, so she'll be safe. But you'll be targeting both the guards as well as the two civilians. So make the.
And I roll with a +1 from the people and another +1 from my synthetic.
Yes. And what are you? Oh, ouch! What are you attacking with? Oh, you just told me. Right, the wire. Okay. So.
Jesus.
Yeah. So
You can give me some extra stuff on that. So I mean, I know there isn't a crit in the game, but
yeah. Basically, I'm just gonna say that that's if you want to avoid them, you can avoid hurting the civilians and do full damage to the guards. So this
Okay.
is going to do how much damage?
4.
4 area. So what are all the attributes? All the traits?
I'll broadcast it again.
Okay, perfect. So it's close area, weighted, numerous. I thought it said humorous for a second.
It's hilarious.
I know. I was trying to figure out how this would be hilarious, but okay. Why is that numerous though? Out of curiosity.
It's like very long, and even if it get cut, there is more of it.
Okay. Okay, so describe this. You're able to do 4 harm across both of these. They do have armor. It's 1 armor, so each of them is going to take 1 less harm than you do. And they're a small gang, but you're also a small gang, so that balances out. So basically, you're doing 4 harm across 2 of them.
I think that 4 harm included the small gang bonus, though.
Yeah, it does. So it will
So
just
then
be
only
3.
3 harm. Yeah. So I think you can
No,
take
actually,
one guy.
because it is area, so it attacks all of the gang, so it doesn't reduce it.
So that's a question. I'm used to Monster of the Week where you split area between them. Does this just do damage, the full damage to everyone in the area?
I
Doesn't-
used to Apocalypse World, and that's what it does there.
I don't think the rules are clear on exactly that.
Okay. So then... Alright, describe what happens, but I'm going to say that you can definitely totally drop one, and the other one you will almost drop, but he will still be a threat in some way, so let me know what that looks like.
Yeah, so did any of you see Helsing Ultimate?
See what?
Helsing Ultimate, the anime.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that.
Alright, so basically it's a bunch of almost acrobatic maneuvers with the wire, like I wrap it on my leg and on my arm. Maneuver it in a way that it's all around them, and then I tighten it in one action.
Okay. Okay, so Mei Ling, how are you trying to help? What were you doing that was supposed to be helping?
So I was coming out to out from behind my cover, and I dropped my rifle on the couch and was springing my blades out of my arms and was going to engage the further guard from Riser.
Okay. So
And so it may
Riser-
just be that it took me too long to get in position to do anything useful.
Right. So Riser, you charge into the room, closely following the. So you're not going full speed because you're following the 2 office workers that you were prodding forward. But as you near the security guards and as these guys are rushing towards them, you pull out the wire and you start spinning it, and it's like a weird spirograph around you as you come in, and between all of these, it whips out and it slams through it like tears the armor off of one and almost cuts him in half, and he just drops to the ground, and it flicks into the other one, so the end is weighted, and it like catches him. It knocks the helmet that he had on his head off his head and knocks him to the ground, and it slices through one arm. But as he's doing that, he falls and he lifts his rifle and he aims it up. At that point, Mei Ling leaps out and she's trying to dive at him with blades extended, and he pulls up the assault rifle as his face is in shock. It's like he doesn't even realize that he's lost an arm. It's the shock of that hasn't quite hit, and he pulls the rifle up and starts pulling the trigger. And as his fingers closing on the trigger, Mei Ling, you closed on him and you basically sliced the end of the rifle in half, so it doesn't actually end up. As he pulls the trigger, it's more of a click because it doesn't engage. You cut it before it hit the hammer that would have slammed into the bullet and fired the round. So he's in front of you. He's reaching for his sidearm as the remains of the rifle that's in his hand fall to pieces. His other arm just laying on the ground next to him. What do you do?
I'd like to pin him down so that he can't pull his pistol.
Okay, and you don't even need to roll for that. That just happens. As he's reaching for his sidearm, you pin his arm because that's pretty much the only threat. The other arm isn't a problem at all, and he's not in a condition to really fight that very much. So you're able to pin his arm to the side, and he's not able to reach the sidearm. Riser, what are you doing?
Neutralizing the threat. So like, if you want to not kill him, I'll go to restrain him in like some way.
Whisper as you hear the guys walking through, and you've just headed back to grab the card, and you're heading to the server room. You just hear gunfire erupting out of the room a little bit to your west. What do you do?
Have I not already plugged in the piggyback node?
No, you've just basically, as that was happening, that gunfight happened while you were entering the room. So you've just scanned it. It just beeped, but you haven't gone into the server room yet.
Right, so I'll try to make it quick. I'll get in the server room and try to jack it in.
Okay. And the alarm is still actually going off. So the alarm is there's red lights now that have appeared. They've kind of descended from the ceiling, and they're spinning, and the klaxon is firing. As you open the server room door, you notice that as you had opened it, the biometrics have gone red, but the key card that you had was able to bypass what was probably a lockdown. You open the server room and you head in and you look for a port to plug in. It doesn't take long because you just like grab there's a server, there's a box that's here, and there's a bunch of wires and some other fiber. You just tear out one of the existing ones and plug this in there. What do you do?
Message Trashman and tell him I'm in, and he can do his thing.
I'll message both Whisper and the other two and tell them to rendezvous at the server room.
As you're starting to do that message, a local ICE program that had just spun up actually is walking your direction. You have to sidestep a little bit out of the way and behind some code, which ends up looking like just a kind of wall partition, and it passes you. But you realize that was kind of close, and they're getting a little bit more intense in their patrolling.
Okay, I'll tell them to rendezvous with Whisper at the server room and prepare to evacuate.
Okay. Are you going to try to connect to that node?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Are you splitting your attention? Or are you...
No, I'll give it full attention. No.
Okay, so you need to jack out of where you are, reposition, jump back in
Right.
that way.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Alright, so you do that. Check out.
And I roll synth to log in.
Yes. So you jump into your local node, you beam over to the alien spaceship that's crammed into the side, and as you jump in there, you notice that everything is deep red, and there's like a lot of activity beyond beyond basically the login node. There's a lot of wandering processes that are in like a seek and destroy mode.
That's all right. I'm ready for it.
Okay.
I'll roll synth to log in.
Nice.
I don't know what a 10 gives me in that case. I'm trying to look for it.
You're in clean, so basically nothing happens. So it doesn't give you anything extra except that you're in.
And I'll roll my console cowboy.
Okay.
So I get 3 hold.
Okay. And the console cowboy lets you activate or deactivate security measures, basically? Oh.
Void ice, increase hold, so pretty decent.
Okay. So you head through the opening that it's almost like
I had an idea for what this one looks like as well.
Go ahead then.
Since it is a server room, I was and the nature of the data, I think I'd like it to look like thousands and thousands of TVs all like stacked up on each other. And in the node, I kind of look like this. I have the payload in hand, and it looks like what is an old school like VHS tape, and I have to go just plug it into the VHS basically, and it'll display on the screens.
Okay.
So I don't know if I have to do anything to get to that point, but that's just kind of what I was visualizing for the node.
Right. And you basically, since you're plugged straight into that node, that's the UFO is like crashed into a side of a building again. It's a slightly different spot, and as you walk through the gap that it had created, you're just in this area. It's like you're suddenly surrounded on all sides by all these screens. As you come in, though, you've got as you come in, several of the screens, like the static in it. I don't know if there's actually a movie that does this, but I imagine The Ring would do something like this. The static of it sort of congeals and almost forms into something that moves forward and then it turns into a form, and it looks like some sort of insectoid thing with blades on it, and it just comes straight at you, and it starts swinging towards your avatar.
Is that like an ice or something?
It is.
Okay, so I will use 1 hold from console cowboy to avoid an ice routine. I'll like do an evasive kind of like jump roll on the ground and evade it and move towards the VHS player.
Okay, so you're just evading?
Right, because it just says avoid an ice routine, so I don't know if that's what that would look like. I don't know if I dodge it and it dissipates, or if it's still coming after me, or I guess that's kind of up to you.
Yeah, so you dodge out of the way as it swings and you move, and then it's almost like it kind of scans the area like it can't find you, and then it just starts walking towards a far end again. So yeah, it's not an immediate threat now.
Okay, and I'm just kind of creeping towards the VHS player. I'm not sure how far off it is.
Okay. It's close and far at the same time. It's a weird matrix thing where distance isn't actually always clear, but more
gotcha.
You're crossing that distance is like it's like you searching through the code to find the entry point, but to you it looks like this thing really far away, and you're moving towards it, but it's not getting closer or further. It's just where it is, and eventually you'll just be there.
Okay.
Yeah, sort of feels like you're moving in a dream and just not quite getting there. But yeah, so you start moving towards that, and you're basically trying to get access to the system that will allow you to drop the pay data. First thing you have to do actually is find it. So there's so many, so that's actually a good point. There are so many screens in here, you don't know exactly which one it is, so the first thing you have to do is do some kind of check to find it. I would say that your Sift probably could help you do this. What programs do you have with you?
I have sift, eject, and then I'm not sure what the name for the one for stealth is, but I have that.
Ah, okay. All right. So yeah, I would say that you could probably use sift to search through this to find the location that you're looking for. What EDC gave you was, you thought at the time it would be enough to find what you need, but it's not actually. There's a lot. It looks like one of the security measures was to add a lot of noise in this area. So there's a lot of cloned, replicated versions of things. So you have to figure out which one is which.
Okay, so I'll just start running through all the aisles of all the TVs looking for it. Ooh, 4,
That might
6.
be a reasonable research move. Is there a research question that would apply to that? Yeah, where would I find? Research is a research question.
Yeah, you could either
And
roll
sift
as research
gives
or
you
sift.
+1 to research.
Yeah. Yeah, so the sift is he's basically making a research roll, right? Mind is research.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a 7 with that +1 forward, thankfully.
So that research then would give you, and he will answer your question. Okay, and what would your question have been? You're trying to find out which one.
Yeah, where would I find where to deposit the payload?
Okay, so basically your sift program starts running, and you're kind of going along with it. You're using it to kind of filter through these, and at one point, one of them, it's like you see thousands and hundreds. They all start getting a red over like an overlay from your own vision, and as the sift is going through, they start popping back to their natural color. Like first all of them are red, then half of them are red, then half of that, and half of that, and it just slowly breaks down until finally you've got the one that you know. So now you recognize where it is you need to be, and you also pull some intel from that. It looks like. Yeah, take one intel.
Okay.
So Whisper, what are you doing? So you've just plugged this in the server room. What are you doing after that?
I'll go try to walk around the offices to see if there's anything I can find useful.
Okay. So you're in the server room right now. You're going to leave the server room and then just search the area?
Yeah, scan the area around the server room, making sure it's all clear.
So on a quick surveil, you basically see some office rooms, the server room that you're in, a pretty large, a number of other clustered server areas, the security room that you came from already that you're aware of, and the armory behind that, and the central hub. So as you get near that, you recognize just bodies, and you see Razor and Mei Ling, who I guess you haven't met up to this point, so I guess you just have to assume that they are your contacts and support.
Guys, I'm going to have to go in like 10 minutes. Is it okay that I'll just leave, or can
Actually,
we
yeah, I just realized it was as late as it was, so technically I have to leave too. So we can just find a cutting point and then stop there.
Let's just say we all regroup back at the server.
Yeah, we can. Unless there's more complications for us, I think we can gather up and start planning our extract.
Well, we just need to jump out of a window.
Yeah, let's gather up the bag of gear.
I have to roll to get to the payload deposit.
Do a so you found
The answer to that is always more ice.
Yeah, the problem, I'm trying to figure out how to bring the ice in, but yeah, as you're approaching it, you find, like, you're constantly having to dodge out of the way of ice. What is the equivalent of an act under pressure in the Matrix? Is there a Matrix move for that?
I think it's just act under pressure.
Alright, so go ahead and
Do
roll
it
an act
normally.
under pressure
You
to see
might-
if you're...
You can customize it to use a different attribute if you want.
Yeah, I was thinking
That's
that.
one of the example custom moves.
Yeah. I think think we're gonna have to
11.
probably make you a move at some point for that to just since you're cool. It seems like you should be better at this than what your cool provides, but still, for now, this is good. So you're actually able to constantly dodge. So there are various times where some of the screens, like almost a ray shot out of them and focus on you, and it scanned down, and it was almost scanning you. And as it scanned you, a form shot out of it and came towards the location you were, but you were able to kind of clone yourself and jump out of the way. So essentially you work your way to that box, and you keep dodging these attempts to isolate and take you down, and you're able to get there. So you have access to it. You can drop the pay data pretty easily at this point. You don't actually need to access the node. You just need to insert the pay data into the box.
Yeah, I'm going to put the VHS in, and then just because I'm curious, see if the screens display anything, and jack out.
Okay. Roll and assess.
A 10.
Okay. So rather than an actual assess where you get to ask the questions, I'll just give you some detail on what you see. So as you pull away, you do a little bit of an extra routine to look at some of the information as it's dropping in. And it looks like what you would assume that they were dropping in an ad, which is kind of that's what you're told, and that's kind of what it does, but there's also some extra payload that you wouldn't expect, and you're not entirely sure. You don't have time to really dig in to see what it is, but it looks like some type of worm or virus or something that is self-replicating and has some code that it's code modification routines that it looks like it would potentially self-replicate and do something to the things it was within. But that's all you can pick up from it.
Okay. I'm going to jack out and stand up and stretch for a minute. And I'll flush the toilet and leave the office briskly.
Okay.
Can I use one of my intel to find a nice place for them to meet me where I could pick them up?
Sure. Yeah, you can use intel to have a spot that's completely outside of any kind of reconnaissance and monitoring. There's a few dark spots, and that intel can give you some of the details of that.
Okay, so I'll take off in the van and give them that GPS coordinate and tell them to look for the pizza van. And I'll text them a picture of it.
Okay, you're able to make it out relatively easily. You do notice that the security in the lobby is a little less discreet as it was. You actually, on the way in, you didn't notice it, but on the way out, you're noticing it, and you're seeing some armed security walking through. They're not necessarily like actively weapons raised, but you do notice that the security's heavier. Whisper, Riser, Mailing, what are you guys doing?
Alright, I think we're deploying our gear to wingsuit our way out of the place. Because that's awesome.
Okay, so it takes you a little bit to find most of this floor. There's no external windows. Most of the walls are reinforced, but you do find a corner office that has glass that is pretty strong, but you think you can probably break through, so if that's your choice.
Yeah, assault rifle it.
Yeah, I'll shoot out the window.
Alright. It takes quite a bit because most of the bullets just like embed and then the force gets absorbed. It's basically bulletproof, but with a little bit more coaxing and some blade work and some heavier convincing, you're able to shatter a section.
All right, so
Sweet.
let's get geared up in the wingsuits and go for a fly.
As you break through that door, you hear behind you. You hear you hear the crash of a door. You hear yelling, and you hear a large number of heavy footfalls out in the corridors behind you.
Can I throw like a desk or something on the door to delay them as we
Yeah.
jump out?
Yeah, there's a pretty big desk in here. It's natural wood, which is pretty rare for desks in office
Yeah,
buildings
I
at this point. So.
jam it in the door with my synthetic muscles, and we're off.
Okay. Yep, you're able to do that pretty well with the mods that you have to your body. So you slam that in there as the windows being crashed open. And what do?
All right, let's get the wingsuits on and jump out.
As you're putting on the wingsuits, you start hearing, you hear the footsteps get closer and they're banging on the door behind you. And first the door tries to be open, and then when it doesn't open, you hear it getting open more forcefully and banging as you're suiting up. You climb into the window, jump out right as one of them ends up taking an axe to the door, and you see splinters coming off of the door as you're going out. Who's first out?
Ladies first.
I think we should send Whisper out first, because he's the least
man.
combat-oriented.
Alright, I'll take that first.
Okay, so you climb in, you get the suit put on, climb in, and you jump. Who's next? So as he jumps, the hole starts opening up to the point where you can actually kind of see light from the other side. You see the red lights flashing. Who's next?
I can go.
Okay.
Yeah, go. I'll fire some rounds at the door. I'm not really trying to hurt anybody, but just to keep them suppressed.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they return it in. They return as well. So Riser, you leap out the window, meleeing as you're preparing to jump out. You fire back into the door, and as you're doing that, you see the barrel of a gun going through one hole, and you see the flash. Roll and act under pressure.
Ooh, got a 10.
Yep. But as the bullets just spray into the room, and they're hitting randomly, they're hitting the glass to your left and right, and some of the furniture, and the door is starting to creak as they're breaking completely through. And right as they shatter through the top part of the door and it slices open and they push the desk out of the way, you leap out of the window. And there's a few gunshots that fly past you. Some you actually hear you hear the air as it's being cut, but nothing hits you, and you're all flying down 97 or so stories. You're pretty much safely out of the building, although there may or may not be something at the bottom, but we can cut now since it's 3. Pretty good stopping point, because we can mostly just wrap this up and then start anew next week.
Alright guys, it was great.
That was awesome.
But
Yeah, wingsuits for the win.
Yeah, it was fun.
Got my Ghost in the Shell moment there at the end.
Oh yeah. I should have had that song queued up. That would have been great.
Right.
All right. Well, thanks.
Thanks.
Anyone who wants to jump out can jump out now. Anyone who wants to do any wrap up. Oh, by the way, Mark. We'll mark experience next week. I'll just make a note that we need to mark experience.
Okay.
And then we'll clean up. We'll do mission, any retribution and things like that, starting next week. So yeah, anyone who needs to go can go. Anyone who wants to give me any feedback, things that we should change for next time, this would be a good time to do that.
No, I think that was great.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night.
Good night.